across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is Talk. I don't know what I'm meant to do tonight. It's Andre Walker and Asher Gould on The Late Show. We've got Ted Jeffrey with us. Ted, look, let's be honest.
It's our mate, isn't it?
This government is just in a complete and total shambles, isn't it? It's just hard to know what to say. Yeah. I mean, we've now literally had a defence secretary who's taken to the media to say that Britain is undefended. We've got private messages from Pat McFadden saying that every single ministry is just obsessed with putting taxes up in order... There is a leadership challenge, which is not a leadership challenge. Keir Starmer... Do you know what Keir Starmer reminds me of? Do you remember the end of the film, The Terminator, where every time you blew it up, right, suddenly the smoke had clear, the eyes bulged, and there it was. Yeah. Sort of,
he does look a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger if he didn't do weight training.
With sort of only one arm and only half a leg, but still...
Yeah. I mean, and a red eye.
It's pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. You know, the whole of this week, including, beginning of this year, and really since July 24, nothing has gone right for the Labour government. Nothing has gone right for Keir Starmer. And the problem is, like we've discussed before, and everyone else has discussed on the shows, Keir Starmer, nobody knows what he believes. Yeah. Apart from international law.
I don't think he knows. He just follows whatever he sort of... Well, did you think he has someone he takes orders from? Because, things are going on in all Western countries that seem to be coming from above. Tony Blair, there were rumours that he was running things. Obama had a third term with, what's his name, who didn't know where he was. Do you think he's sort of a stooge? Because it does seem he's not really, he's just transparent, isn't he? There's nothing to him.
Well, even if he was a stooge... he surrounded himself by people who also don't have a vision and don't have any idea or direction as to how they want to take the country. They all left, didn't they? When
Corbyn took over, all the future stars of Labour left and did something else. They gave up, and so they were left with this rabble and deranged people.
Do you know, by the way, Asher, do you know what I would have done with Joe Biden? Why not stick him on Air Force One, tell him he's the president of Belarus, and just let him go, right? Let him land in Minsk and just wander around merrily for the rest of his term. I worry about this very greatly, simply because I think... So I've spent a lot of time, Ted, thinking about this, and I think you're wrong. I think you're right by saying nobody knows what he believes, but I think you're wrong that potentially he has no beliefs. I believe that he thinks... he is a morally good person, and if you can build a system and a process at the local level, UK level, international level, if that process is perfect and everybody who goes into the process is a good person, then actually policy will emerge from that process. Have you noticed every time he ever has a problem, he always goes, we need to get the process right. And you think, well, OK, I think what you need to do is believe in something. But actually his belief is if the UK courts don't get it right, then international courts can get it right. And if...
he defers to Lord Hermer, who has no democratic mandate, and he just goes, well, I better ask what our head of law says, and he just makes stuff up to what fits the narrative, because he's his old mate.
Well, this is it. I mean, look, you talk about process, for example. Part of the process that he's had, look at this week, defence. This has been the biggest catastrophe that we've seen in his premiership.
You've written an article, haven't you, in The Critic? Ted's written an article in The Critic.
We'll get to the crux of what I'm saying in that article in just a moment, but he set out, and when he came into the office, he said, we're going to have a strategic defence review that's going to be conducted by people like Lord Robertson, former NATO chief, ex-Labour Defence Secretary as well. And in that defence review, which it was delayed by months and months and months, when that finally landed, we were supposed to then have a second part to it, which is the Defence Investment Plan, which we are still waiting to see, and has now led to what we saw this week, which was the resignation of John Healey, and then also off the back of that, John Healey's sort of right-hand man and Armed Forces Minister, Al Kant. And they were highlighting, obviously, legitimate concerns that we've all been talking about for ages, which is that we're not spending what we should be on our armed forces, and we're not spending it quick enough either in order to start our rearmament process. You know, our armed forces have been hollowed out. You know, you see all kinds of reports about the fact that if Britain was to go to war tomorrow, for instance, or had to defend itself in a land war or any way, shape or form, we'd have sort of artillery and ammunition that would last about 24 hours.
You had to borrow a ship to do recently war games. You had to borrow a German ship.
Well, we had obviously Russian warships conducting their sort of grey zone activities in our waters, and it wasn't a battleship or anything, or even like some sort of reconnaissance ship that we sent out in order to deter their actions. Actually, what it was a cargo ship and vessel. So this is the level of embarrassment that we're now facing as a nation because of Starmer's inaction on defence. And again, we've got Sir Richard Knighton, who is the top general, the chief of the defence staff, the man who looks after the Army, Navy and Air Force. I mean, he is essentially now, I think, and I've been talking to a few defence insiders this evening. As of next week, beginning of next week, which is when we're supposed to see the Defence Investment Plan, he's essentially on resignation watch himself. That's what some of the rumours are saying. Because, you know, you've got Dan Jarvis, who's had this sort of hospital pass and poisoned chalice and becoming Defence Secretary.
Yes.
You know, he's a former army officer, and there's a lot of ex-veterans that I've spoken to, and they all said, yeah, look, he is a good man, and they think that if Dan Jarvis doesn't get the boost in cash that he needs to fund defence properly, he too could be on resignation watch.
But if you think about it, if you were in the invidious situation that Keir Starmer's in, you would turn around. I would turn around to you and say, look, here is your issue. The Labour bench will not accept cuts in anything. And nobody else will accept tax increases. Basically, we're now at the stage that taxes are becoming punitive, and therefore when we put them up, tax take is going down. And just to explain that, people are starting to leave the country, which is why net migration figures look as if they're a bit better. So the only thing left now is a wealth tax, a land tax, and that sort of thing, which would be absolutely catastrophic. That's the only thing left. The reality is, you cannot fund the armed forces without losing the Premiership, because if you try and take money off these people, they're going to rebel.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, look, this is the problem we face. We know where the money should be coming from. You know, it should be coming from axing this enormous and bloated welfare bill.
Yes.
It should be from net zero. Exactly. You know,
And the NHS, all that.
NHS, carbon capture schemes. You know,
are they just trying to last until the general election because they know they're out and they just want to stave it off for the next government?
You know, I think it's been quite clear. Starmer's tactic so far has been to just survive.
Knock it into the long grass.
Exactly. Get from sort of checkpoint to checkpoint.
Yes.
And it almost seems like there's a sort of deep sigh once he's past those.
Isn't one of the biggest problems that we have at the heart of this country a Ponzi scheme? And that Ponzi scheme is our national insurance, particularly the pensions.
Yeah.
If you pay into the pensions now, all you will be doing is paying the payments to the people who retired today. A classic Ponzi scheme does not invest anything at all. It pretends to be an insurance scheme, it pretends to be an investment scheme, but it takes money coming in and pays existing people, and that's it, and then it collapses. And the fundamental problem that we've got is, because we've been running a Ponzi scheme for 100 years, and now everybody's claiming the money because people are getting older that doesn't exist, that is causing significant financial problems. And we've got people watching and listening to this who are very worried because they're going to say, well, I paid into it all my life. Yes, but the slight problem is the money only lasted 4 weeks. 4 weeks after you paid in, the money was gone. And so if you want a decent pension now, all you are doing is forcing 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds to pay more taxes for it. And they will never get a pension. There is not a prayer.
Yeah. Well, look, let's go, for example, let's go back to defence and look at the kind of cultural rot and the problems at the heart of it. Because, yes, there is a really big problem of we're not spending enough. Yeah, that we can all agree on.
Since the peace dividend, since communism fell,
Exactly.
they just
Since the end of the Cold War, you know, you can look at it in terms of our fleet of ships, the real lack of the real serious decline that we've seen, but also we've got a sort of cultural rot in the sort of ecosystem of the MOD, where they get all of this money. You know, they'll get billions, but they're spending it, you know, trying to arm Britain for yesterday's wars.
Yeah.
They're spending it on, obviously, tanks and jets. And no one's saying we don't need
They're out of
tanks
date when they get to made.
Yeah, exactly. But look at Ukraine. You know, Ukraine, 1,000-pound drones are literally destroying tanks.
They now
which
say
are worth
Ukraine
millions.
is probably one of the top 3 armies in the world because of their
because they've had to adapt. And not only have they had to adapt, they've had to do so at a rapid rate. Because literally, I think since 2024, you know, as Ukraine was successfully defending their land, there you see a massive spike in drone production.
Yeah, but here is part of the problem with our short-termism and stupidity.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine us three now. We're attempting to pitch to get more money for the Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Yeah.
Right. You go into a government ministry and go, right, we're going to do what Ukraine did, which is put all of our technology people, all of our resources into developing small drones that can drop little bombs onto tanks.
Yeah.
Right? They'd go, how much is that going to cost? Well, overall, it's going to cost £5 billion. But and then you go, let's have an aircraft carrier. What can I like a proper aircraft carrier which I can get on board and say, the reason why we are buying stupid junk is because it's easier to taking a government minister into an arms procurement fair is like taking a 3-year-old into a sweet shop, right? Because they just go, oh, I'll just have that.
I remember when there was a story about 2 years ago. They bought Apache helicopters. They could have bought them off the shelf from America, and that's when they work at their best. And they thought they know better. They thought we'll get them. We'll put this British engine in, and then it all fell apart. They wasted 50 billion, and then they decided, yeah, we'll just buy the off-the-shelf ones.
Yeah.
And this happens all the time. It happened with the SA-80 rifle. You know, we didn't have... we had the soft-skinned Land Rovers that was getting our troops killed. We've always been sort of either under-equipped or, you know, too much British innovation rather than buying off-the-shelf stuff. Why is all that going on?
Well,
is it backhanders and people, you know, big companies over here?
It's tough to tell if it's, for example, backhanders. I'm sure a lot of people...
Or maybe contracts, you know, to friends who run, you know, munitions companies.
Yeah. But this is where, you know, the public is not having, and it's not being allowed to kind of have by the government, this honest conversation about the situation that we're facing. If you look at the letter from, in particular, Al Khan's, it is the most honest and brutal assessment that we've had from our armed forces. And this is someone who's been serving since the Labour government has come in as a defence minister. That should be a real wake-up call and shock to people. And someone I spoke to about this, I said, when do you think, and they're a former army major, and they're like, I was like, when do you actually think people are going to wake up and realise? And he goes, well, I think we're going to need some sort of Dunkirk
Well, it's
moment,
like this sort of normalcy bias. I mean, you could say the same thing about our culture and society. When are we going to wake up to something that might happen? Well, it's already happened. Look at what's happened to our town. So we sort of are like the bubbling water, the frog in the bubbling water, and it's normalcy bias. We go, oh, there's not going to be a war. There hasn't been for 70 years. Dear, now there's a war.
And look, we're not going to have tanks rolling over. But what we could face
drones
are swarms of drones
chasing us.
in a very thinly layered. We have a very thinly layered air defence protection, and one of the sort of vessels used to protect us would be things like Type 45 destroyers that we know we have extreme lack of at the moment, and things that aren't even in service.
Have we got the workforce, though? I mean, look at the Chinese. They've got millions of people that can do micro-soldering. We haven't got anyone, you know. It's like for 100 years they've been doing
Taiwan is a perfect example. You know, they know what's coming down the road, and therefore they've been preparing themselves
At least
for
they're on our side,
drone production.
But I think it is worth pointing out, and I lament this fact.
Yeah.
I lament this fact, but it is worth pointing out that if you were to point out any British or English campaign in history, we always lose to start with.
Yes.
And the reason is because incompetent leadership will cock it all up to start with.
Yeah.
And in the end, they have cocked it up so much that actually they get booted out of the way by ordinary people. Right,
Yeah.
Dunkirk was a complete and total shambles, right? But then, literally, blokes from Portsmouth in pleasure boats bailed them out. And you got the impression with the Second World War that basically everyone yawned, rolled their eyes and went, oh, get rid of you lot. But the Napoleonic Wars were exactly the same. Yeah. We kept losing until we stopped this. First World War, I mean, the Earl Haig, I mean, the man was useless. Yeah. I mean, he was virtually senile. And then in the end, British ingenuity came good, but the risk isn't that we're going to lose because British ingenuity and the water around us gives us time, right? And time is what we need if we're ingenious. The big risk is what's happened in every other war. 1 million Brits die by the time the government gets its bloody act together. Yeah. That's the problem.
I mean, that's in fact what you cite there with Dunkirk is something that Orwell actually wrote about. It's the fact that it was the elites that, quote, sort of cocked it up. And it was the common everyday man that sort of came to the rescue and proved the British ingenuity in being able to sort of turn the tide.
But what we are doing is that the money that should be spent on our national defence we are using to import an extremely hostile group of young men to the United Kingdom. So,
well, it's waste, isn't it?
Now, if you go into any pub tonight in Britain and go to your average working class geezer, what do you think we should be doing? Importing jihadis from Afghanistan or paying for national defence? He's not going to go, oh, I'm not sure, those jihadis are fantastic, In fairness...
If you can find a working class man in a pub, you can't afford it. But during the Napoleonic Wars, we had 4% income tax and people moaned about that.
Yeah. Well, this is, I mean, look, there's a sort of NATO league table which ranks its members based on how it's supposed to be, how they're all supposed to be doing when it comes to rearming the country.
Yeah.
Do you know where we rank?
We're at the bottom with a country that doesn't even have an army.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so we're 31st.
Yeah.
32nd is Iceland, and they don't even have an army.
They could probably still beat us in the war. I mean, they've got Björk, haven't they? Anyway,
if she squawks at you, you don't know when
and he used to have Magnus Magnusson. He's probably quite tough, isn't he? 03444991000. We've got Ted Jeffries. I didn't know his name was Jeffrey. At your school, because you went to quite a posh school, they were going, Jeffrey! Like Phil Dave. They were going, Dave, imagine if you would have been in... Anyway, Ted Jeffries here, because he works here, but he's done an article in The Critic all about this sort of thing. So give us a ring if you want to speak to Ted about anything to do with that or us about anything else. It's Andre and Ash, 03444991000. Back after this. Oh, yeah.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Ted Jeffrey. And Ted, you've been writing for The Critic.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a publication that I'm as familiar with as I could be. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I mean, the first piece that I pitched to The Critic, essentially The Critic is a sort of, I guess, online centre-right publication. They put out a magazine on a sort of semi-regular basis, from what I believe. But yeah, it allows, I guess, individuals like myself to sort of put forward these ideas, like the one I did, where I sort of called for Knighton to do the what I think is the honourable thing now, an unprecedented move in resigning.
And no one does that anymore.
Well, no one does that anymore. And again,
no, everyone says I take full responsibility for that, and then you go. And what does that in practice involve?
It used to mean, and now I fall on my sword, and there's no accountability.
I take full responsibility for that. Well, okay, and what will be happening as a result? Nothing.
That's it. And we've never had a sort of top general member who looks after one of the armed forces and services. We've never had them resign on principle, and a lot of the reason for that is because they'll paint it as a duty, but we know it's to get that, maybe, the pension, the ennoblement, the book deal and memoir that comes afterwards.
And then they spill the beans.
Exactly. And then, as we see from, again, people who I would always say listen to the likes of people like Lord Dannatt, who've been very outspoken on this. But they're only saying we should be spending X amount after they've left the position.
Shouldn't we say, well, you are spineless for all of you lot and the policemen that do it and all these... The reason this happens is because you're not standing up at the time when you have the power.
Well, it's a fair point to say that these people were in the positions of power when the armed forces were being hollowed out, and as we know, it didn't start under Labour. It started under the Tories.
But isn't it? Look, first of all, I completely agree with you, but I think it's worth putting the other side, which is to say, look. You know what? It's not for a military commander to undermine the democratically elected government in this country. We can brief the government, we can even brief the opposition, but it is for them to debate this issue.
But if it's his duty to stand up and say we're not defending ourselves.
If you give us 50p to defend the country, we will spend 50p as well as we can. But fundamentally, it is for you to decide. The big problem is when you get the whole... And I appreciate it's awkward. It is difficult for somebody to stand up and say the government is wrong on spending because, in a sense, by definition, they're right. If they've been elected to cut defence spending and they cut defence spending, then even if that is idiotic, in a democracy, by definition, they're doing the right thing.
But their duty is to protect the country.
Well, this is where I obviously side with Ash on this, is the fact that it's a duty to protect the country, and you also have to then put into question, and this is something that I write about in the article, when does sort of loyalty to the government and to your service also become complicity in the fact that...
Well, his loyalty is just king and country, not to the Prime Minister.
Well, exactly, but this is why someone like Knighton or any general should now stand up and sort of have the cojones to say, enough's enough. The funding that you're giving us is not enough for us to rearm and do the job that you're expecting us to do, and that you're putting out. The government are putting out time and time again in press releases the threat of Russian aggression. But time and time again, we're not matching our words, our actions with the words that we're putting out.
Just a matter of interest, and I just throw this out. Why isn't the head of the armed forces a cabinet minister? There's absolutely no reason why that person could not be. I mean, you had the First Lord of the Admiralty, who was a government minister. I don't fundamentally... So what I can see, and I don't know as much about the military as you do, what I see is you know, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force doing their best, going through this lump of bureaucracy at the MOD. You know, they can't buy a light bulb and they're trying to buy tanks. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a complete mess, the MOD. It doesn't really work. And then you've got minister. Then the ministers go to the cabinet. They argue stuff they don't fully understand in front of people, a group of people who don't fully understand it. And actually you just think, well, do you know what? Why not give the head of the Army, the head of the Air Force, the head of the Navy a peerage, seat in the House of Lords, sit them at the cabinet table, and just make it Minister for the Navy is the same job as the head Commander-in-Chief. Sorry, the head of the Navy.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying.
Because we assume that every minister has to be political.
Yes, true, but at the same time, I think because of the nature of the role of obviously cabinet, and then the sort of more civil servants, and then top brass within the MOD, there has to be a separation.
Does that?
You know?
Why?
Well, according to Dominic Cummings, it's all just a charade and it's all being run by the blob now anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if you want to listen... I mean, you listen to Dominic Cummings as well, you know, he says we shouldn't be giving aid, you know, to Ukraine as well. So I wouldn't listen to everything Dominic Cummings says.
But the concern about Cummings is something that I've talked about, Ted, on multiple occasions on this show. When I did my A-level in history in 1995 to 1997...
Yeah.
Right. And this is just a very simple example. We were learning about French history and doing, you know, that petty bourgeois, proletariat, all that sort of. And you go, what is any of that, right? And we're all interested in, you know, how to run the French government. And then they talk about the bureaucracy. And literally, when they said, in order to run the French government, you needed to control the bureaucracy. And we were like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Now, most modern people nowadays know what that means automatically. But in 1997, literally, school children studying history did not know what the bureaucracy was. And when they were told that literally the civil servants had their own agenda and were running things against the views of the public or the government, we were shocked. We thought they were completely mad. Yeah. Now, if you were to go to a 16 to 18-year-old and say to them, what part of governing Britain is the bureaucracy, they would just nod, wouldn't they? And Dominic Cummings makes the point that concept of bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake now is part of our system because of Tony Blair.
Yeah, but this is also why we need to have governments that come in that tell the civil service what to do.
Or abolish it.
Or abolish it. Or
as an independent entity.
They have to cut the... Because like people have said, you pull a lever and nothing happens. They have to be in charge of government and accountable and get rid of the quangos and this blob. That's what they have to do. Yeah.
And look, and perhaps the answer is either, you know, for example, if we were to see like a reform government coming in and they're the ones who've promised probably the biggest shake-up to the civil service, whether it's sort of political appointments at the top of the civil service, a cabinet office or whatever, or bringing in actual experts into
They've
roles
learned from the
government.
I'm quite against political appointments, I have to say. What my problem is that the civil service is ill-focused. What we have brilliant people, and we do have brilliant people. I mean, the Foreign Office recruits just some of the best people in the world. Yeah. And you always feel that the sum is less than the collection of its parts with the civil service. Because we're not talking about idiots. I think the big problem is that we have created a system where everyone fights each other. You know, HS2 fighting Natural England. I mean, street by street, field by... Now, if you want HS2, or if you don't want HS2, doesn't bother me. I'm from the north, it doesn't help me, believe it or not, right? But what actually happens is, you know, there's a decision made to build this railway. Yeah. And Natural England is sat there going, oh, we found some slugs that are very unusual. And then, you know, it's another £1 million on it. And it constantly happens. We've got inspector this, objecting to inspector that. And you end up just in a... You know, my dad built his own house. You know, eight sets of drawings. Because it's, oh, I don't like this window, says the planning officer. Oh, and then you draw it again, they go, well, I don't like that door, but that door was on the last plan.
£100 million pounds on a bat cave, and about £1 billion to protect fish from the nuclear power station in Hinkley, and it apparently only protects about 150 of these special fish a year. So it's about 150 grand per fish. Just suck them up. It doesn't really matter.
But when you watch Prime Minister's questions, you hear things that are quite unusual from what you would have heard, say, 20 years ago, where it's can the Prime Minister talk to the Commission for Racial Equality, Natural England, whatever it is, talk to them and ask them to do this. And you get this sense that when he walked into Downing Street, he had an ability to lobby his government, but he didn't actually run anything in any meaningful sense. Oh, can you ask Natural England not to force us to do another bat tunnel? No, we can bloody abolish them. They're a load of crap. But that's not what happens.
Yeah.
And none of this existed before Tony Blair. None of it existed.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, Tony Blair is perhaps the one with the audacity to then come out with this sort of diatribe of an essay basically saying, and essentially, without saying he's the one that got this all wrong, this is what we now need to do.
Tony Blair, I will tell you, I don't think he's a bad guy. And personally, the Iraq thing, I'm not as bothered about as the political left are. The problem is, he messed about with the British Constitution without any fundamental knowledge of what any of it was doing. He didn't understand what the Lord Chancellor was. He just got annoyed that Derry Irvine was more important than him. The whole thing, Quango this, government body that. And the other thing is, and this is something that, Ted, you've got to remember, oh, this is too important for politics, let's leave it to experts. Experts are extremists, right? If you got given the entire media studies budget for the UK, you'd put a radio station in every school, right? Because you're a loony about this type of media, right? Because that's what you think is marvellous. What you have to do is balance things. It's about listening to experts, but making a political decision. That's what doesn't happen in Britain anymore.
Yeah, well, you're quite right. You're quite right. But this is also why I say, going back to the original point, the MOD...
we're going back to the beginning again.
Yeah, we're going back to the beginning.
Rewind. Yeah.
The cultural rot is there, and as David Davis wrote today, there needs to be a complete reset.
He was former SAS as well, David. Anyway, that is our mate, Ted Jeffrey, about his new article in the Critic. Check it out, Ted Jeffrey's article about all this. But
do you remember Rainbow?
Do you remember?
With Zippy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bungle.
You must have studied that in history at school, because you too.
Well, I met him when he came on James's show.
Yeah, that's right.
The only time Bungle wore clothes was when he was in bed. He'd wear his pyjamas when he was in bed with Jeffrey, but generally he'd walk around naked. What does that tell you about Jeffrey?
Zippy had no test. Zippy had no testicles. Okay, right. And on that bombshell, 03444991000, we're going to be talking to Kim Bailey, the chairwoman of Crowborough Shield, about residents being removed from Epping Asylum Hotel. So let's have a chat to her after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Ashley Gould. Oh, we like Ted Jeffrey, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, not as much as I used to.
Right.
But, you know, no, just, you know, when you go off people a bit. No, just nothing specific, you know what I mean?
OK.
I really used to like him.
OK, well, let me tell you something. Apparently,
No, I like him.
Apparently, asylum seekers or...
No, he's great, Ted, yeah.
Asylum seekers, OK. People who are staying in the Bell Hotel in Epping are being removed. Remember, there was all sorts of problems with these people, and it was just inappropriate. Well, it's an inappropriate group of people to leave in a residential community. Kim Bailey is the chairwoman of Crowborough Shield. She's non-political, but it's a voluntary residents group attempting to look after that particular area. Well, Kim, first of all, thank you for coming on. And secondly, I just want to ask you, what is going on? What is the update?
Well, the updates seem to change hourly down here in Crowborough. So obviously we've heard the same as you that the Bell Hotel is closing down. We've also heard the rumours that they may be being moved to Crowborough, which we have not had confirmed, so we don't know. But if they are, or wherever they're going, it's just moving the problem around, isn't it? They're not actually...
So they're going to move it nearby sort of as a punishment sort of thing? Because they, you know, I remember the government officially said, you know, we put their rights above our own citizens' rights in a court case, didn't they?
Well, I mean, that certainly appears to be the case here in Crowborough. So obviously they put they're up to 540 asylum seekers they can put into the camp on the edge of Crowborough, which is just on the edge of our town. So there's 473 in there at the moment. 100 have already moved on. Obviously, there was no consultation, no impact assessments. We've been protesting for 32 weeks now. Every Sunday there's been a protest. The government are not listening, so we as a community interest company are taking legal action.
Just a matter of interest. I think people are quite confused by this. I know the system is dysfunctional, but how does it work from your point of view? I'll tell you what I got told when people moved into Datchet and moved into Maidenhead, that being Windsor and Maidenhead, the borough that I previously was a political advisor for, although long before any of this happened. Effectively, the local council is not told, generally, and they move people in overnight. They do a secret deal with the hotel. You might get wind of it, but then in terms of the hotel, and I know the owners of the Manor Hotel in Datchet, their staff were all sacked, and they then are not allowed to know who's in there. They can't get any information on them. And so the situation in Datchet was this, and I do feel sorry for the owners of the Manor Hotel in Datchet, because they were going bust as a result of COVID. Then the government got them to do this, but now they're extremely unpopular. But there's no information, there's no process of consulting the public. Vans just come one night, or rather coaches just come one night, and people are there. Is that your understanding, or have I got that completely wrong?
No, it's very similar here in Crowborough. The only difference is our council, our district council, was actually consulted, and that's it's an alliance. So it's run by the Labour, the Lib Dems, and the Greens in a coalition. So
but did they let you know, your own council, or did they keep it secret?
No, so they kept it secret as well. And the only reason that we found out here in Crowborough is because someone from the Home Office, who we're entirely grateful to, leaked it into the media. So that's how we found out. And then they snuck them in under the cover of darkness. Like you say, just a busload of men were...
It's all men, was it? And these are unchecked males, then, presumably, because they don't check any of them. A lot of them throw their passports. And is it nearby schools, presumably? They normally are.
Yeah, so there's schools. I mean, if it's just on the edge, we're on a forest, so everywhere is kind of completely dark at night. There's little twittens and, you know, there's little alleyways that have got no lights whatsoever. Everything is within a sort of 20-minute walk, so 20 minutes from the camp, and you've got schools, churches. Other than that, there's not really much else here. There's nothing for them to do.
What do they get up to? Because I've been criticised by viewers and listeners before, because I have a theory, right, that there was loads of problems, as I say, in Datchet, with people filming kids in the park. Now, I personally think that what's happening is they're going, look at this. They've put us in Windsor, we're in 4-star accommodation, blah, 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 blah. And then people got in touch going, oh, you're naive, they're perverts and all this sort of thing. What's the day-to-day sort of stuff that they're up to in your area, and what's your impression of what their motivation is, either to be here or in their activities locally?
I think it's multifactorial, isn't it, of why they're here. So you have got some vulnerable people there that have been sold a dream.
Yes.
Give us a couple of grand, get on a boat, go to England, you're guaranteed asylum, you're going to be put up in a hotel or, you know, an army barracks, and it's all hunky-dory, you'll be given asylum. So there are these people that sold a dream, but there are also criminals in that, and there are risks, and we know that. We see the atrocities in the news, and that keeps on happening. So
well, what have you got any local... what's happened in your area? You know,
So we've got 473 in the camp at the moment.
Yeah.
So we've got some volunteer organisations that have been set up, and they're doing things like music lessons, English lessons, football tournaments. So they're being kind of kept entertained. We do see them out and about, but we're not seeing hundreds of them around. But we also, so we've got kind of 3 groups that got set up in Crowborough. So there's the group that I set up with another resident, which is a community interest company. We're taking legal action. You've then got the protest group. So they organise a protest every week. You've then got Crowborough Aware, who are a patrol group. So they actually patrol the streets. There's lots, I think it's hundreds of people now that are all DBS checked. They've all got kind of uniforms, and they literally just walk around the streets. And
without being funny, and this is no criticism of you, Kim, but you've set up your own paramilitary force in order to protect your community.
It sounds like it's worked.
Residents came together and
I'm not being critical. I'm not being critical. No, but I think it's important to understand that what you've had to do is set up a paramilitary force to protect your community.
Yeah, because essentially what you'll see in other towns is that the district council, so the planning authorities, have taken the legal action. Well, here they didn't. They washed their hands of it and said that they would not take any legal action, and they would not support us as a community group of over 12,000 people. They would not support us. So we have been crowdfunding. We've crowdfunded like £150,000 so far to get us to where we are. For the judicial review is now set for the 21st of July. So we've had to do that all ourselves. This is the first time it's ever been done. So this is kind of being tested in the court of law, because our district council, being Greens and Lib Dems as joint leaders, they won't do anything.
And Kim, what's the council? By the way, congratulations on the amount of money you've raised. You shouldn't have to have done all this.
Where can they go actually to donate for that?
So there's the Crowd Justice. You just Google Crowd Justice 600. It's the first one that comes up. It's also on our Facebook page on Crowborough Shield. But we still need another £100,000.
Yeah, you will. You'll need 250 without a doubt. When you meet your local councillors, look, we know what they say in private, far-right thugs and all this sort of thing, and, you know, this is all marvellous and these people are desperate. We know they all say that. What do they say to your face?
Well, they don't. They refuse point blank to speak to us. So I actually approached Rachel Millwood, who's the deputy leader of the Green Party as well, outside the courts of justice, and said, look, you know, in the interest of the community, we need to talk. And she just kind of brushed it off. She wasn't interested. And just
well, she can't. That's because she can't answer your honest, you know, points. They've got no answer to them.
No, she can't.
So
she actually said she would take legal advice as to whether she could speak to me or not, which was just...
It's a way of shutting down freedom of speech. So are you confident that it's going to work? And are you... I mean, this sounds like a good thing, you going around the area on your own sort of security patrols. Does that get stuff safe in your area? Do people feel safer because of that?
Everybody believes so. So you'll hear people saying that, and they have actually diffused a few situations as well. So you will hear the residents saying that they are grateful for these people that are going out.
Like what situations? Give us an example of what situations.
So, I mean, I don't know the details of it. I do know of some incidents that were reported to the police, which I obviously can't talk about. But I do know that a lady was frightened. She felt she was being followed, and then she was escorted home by the people of the Crowborough Aware Group.
So it's a useful... it's basically doing what the police should be doing, and security.
I mean, we never saw any police here in Crowborough. You know, one police car in a month would be, oh my God, what's happening?
I hate to say this. It's an awful thing to say, but you're better off without the police. The reality is, what the police would do is start harassing your security. They would
who are DBS checked, which is more than these young men.
The police wouldn't take an interest in the migrants. They'd take an interest in the security. Look, I've always said individual police officers are doing their best. Sorry, are decent people. But I'm afraid the arrival of a police car in a scenario like this is bad news, not good news, for a patriotic, decent, honest person.
Well, I mean, we did have a lot of people, especially in the beginning. So people would be sat in their cars I mean, it happened to me as well. And also we have a documentary maker that's been kind of following us around. And we actually have been stopped by the police and asked what we're doing sat in our cars. We would just come out of the pub having a chat. So we do get stopped. Haven't seen so much of that recently, but definitely back at the beginning, if someone was sat in their car, they were being stopped. There was 3 of us that I know of that were asked to explain why we were sat in our cars.
And I hope you said, I'm not going to explain, make an allegation, I'll talk to you, then wind the window up.
I was a bit politer than that. But...
Well, you know, at the end of the day...
She's got electric windows as well, I bet.
At the end of the day, if there is a political... If the police are going to be political, they should be treated as political combatants. That's my view.
They are the state the state's the Stormzy, aren't they?
I love the fact Kim didn't massively push back on that one.
Yeah, the Stormtroopers.
OK, listen, Kim.
Down must have gone.
Congratulations on everything you're doing. I'm sorry you have to do it. What we'll do is we'll try and tweet out your web link to get the donations in. Obviously,
Please do, because we've still got a long way to go. And you know, this government needs to be held to account for what they've done. Whether we win or we lose, holding this.
Can you repeat it again, just for our viewers and listeners?
So it's Crowd Justice 600. So if you just Google Crowd Justice 600.
I will do that right now.
You can put the whole 150 grand in. Oh, it's sorted. That is
I'd
Kim.
be utterly grateful.
There you go, yeah. Consider it done. That's Kim Bailey, chairwoman of Crowborough Shield. Thanks for joining us, Kim. But next we're going to talk to our old friend Reem Ibrahim, who's moved to America. And we're going to talk about Elon Musk. He's the richest man in the world, but now he's the first trillionaire as SpaceX shares soar on the stock market. He's rich. He's very rich, and we'll be talking to Reem about it after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and I have to say I am a sceptic when it comes to institutional investors offloading tech stock to the public, because I remember the dot-com bubble. What you're about to hear in this segment is a discussion about the politics and economics of an initial public offering of SpaceX by Elon Musk. I want to emphasise to you that we are political commentators, and in Reem's case, an economist. Nothing you hear should be considered to be investment advice. If you wish to invest in SpaceX or indeed any other business, speak to an independent financial advisor. I'm not required to say that to you, but I think it's important to say that to you anyway. Reem Ibrahim, we love you. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in Washington, and also tell us what's going on with SpaceX.
Oh, I've missed you both so much. I can't tell you how much it makes me smile to see both of your faces.
Well, I
this
listen
evening.
to a strong American accent now.
Oh, y'all.
No, I'll always be British, Ash, don't you worry. Yeah, so over in the US, we have seen some really interesting developments. Of course, Elon Musk was already the richest man in the world, and he is now a trillionaire, the world's first trillionaire. So what actually happened is SpaceX, a company he founded back in 2002, has now become on the public market. So anybody can buy shares in SpaceX. And as you just said, Andre, this is not necessarily a recommendation to buy SpaceX shares at all. It is just the fact that it is now available to people. So this is $75 billion worth of shares. We've seen some really interesting stories come out of it. Some SpaceX employees that were earning $25 an hour are now millionaires because they bought shares. We are seeing some really interesting developments on that front. Now, this entire debate seems to be coming out of the US, where lots of American politicians on the left, namely people like Elizabeth Warren, are saying this should be a wake-up call. We should not have trillionaires. And I think the complete opposite. I think that this is quite possibly one of the greatest capitalist developments that we have seen in the 21st century.
Well, look at the innovation he's done. He's single-handedly, obviously, with experts, done something that NASA could never do. He's doing magic with rockets landing.
So let's just stop that for a second. He single-handedly with experts, he's done this. Okay.
Yeah, but he's the driven man. It's like Steve Jobs. He didn't make all the Apple, but it was only with his drive that we had the Apple innovations. And it's the same without Musk. You wouldn't have had any of this innovation. Rockets landing up and just landing down.
I agree. And look, you can disagree with Musk's politics, and I think, setting his politics aside, actually just the real-world developments that he has been able to achieve.
He's Thomas Edison of the modern world, isn't he?
Well, indeed. I mean, when we're thinking about the way in which these companies, many of the companies that he has developed, some of the companies have been very successful, some have not. SpaceX itself, and I just want to talk very specifically about one aspect of what SpaceX does. Of course, they have meant that rockets are now way cheaper and they can be reusable. They've been able to develop those technologies. But I actually think the most important thing that SpaceX has done is satellite communications.
The internet for anyone, like they did in Ukraine, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. In Ukraine, in Iran, where we have seen authoritarian regimes, or indeed as a result of war, people being unable to access the internet, the Iranian government tried to shut down the internet, and they couldn't. People had freedom because
he loves democracy and freedom, doesn't he? He's a bit funny because he's on the spectrum a bit. He loves justice and freedom of speech. That's why he bought Twitter, and this is why he's got SpaceX, and this is why he's having self-driving.
But I think there are two questions here, aren't there, Asher? And I'd love it if Reem could answer this. So, look,
the first question, please.
The first question is it important that somebody's a billionaire? So I get. Do we want to prohibit it or do we want to encourage it? I get that. But I just wonder whether it's significant in of itself or whether we just want freedom for people to earn the money they earn. So that's question number one. Question number two, is there not a risk that we are obsessed with Elon Musk because we politically agree with him? I would like, actually, in a capitalist market, in a free market, and in a democracy, for us not to need to have the richest man in the world to support our freedom. So those are my two questions. Do we need billionaires, trillionaires? Are they important? And what do we do about the fact that the next trillionaire might not be on side?
Well, the only reason why we are talking about Elon Musk being a trillionaire is because it's the first time it's ever happened. He is the first trillionaire. And so it is politically important for lots of people. It's also really important, I think, to argue against the notion that is being propagated by lots of leftist politicians over here in the US, that being a trillionaire or having wealth in of itself means that you cannot be wealthy. It means, this idea is basically a degrowth idea. These people would rather us all be living in shacks.
People like Lewis Hamilton, who's worth about $500 million.
Well, what happens is these kind of people believe that there is a fixed amount of wealth in the economy, and so if one person is wealthy, other people cannot be wealthy. And that those people, they use the word hoard a lot. These wealthy people are hoarding their wealth, and that's just not true. Wealth is something that happens when people are able to create it. Wealth is created as a result of fantastic
But it's
people
also
like
important,
Elon Musk.
I think it's also important, Reem, for people to understand that this man cannot go to a bank and take £1 trillion pounds out,
Yes.
he is controlling assets of that value.
It's stock in SpaceX that makes him the trillionaire, so he doesn't actually own the money.
It was the SpaceX IPO that has made him a trillionaire.
Yeah.
There's also, I mean, look, there is also the question of whether or not SpaceX has
Reem, just to explain why that's important to everybody watching and listening, is because he can't sell that and buy a big house in any practical terms. What he actually is somebody who has raised money in order for his companies to innovate further.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. He doesn't have $1 trillion in cash, but I don't think anybody believes that. If they do, then they don't understand
Imagine
how
the
money
size
works.
of the wallet.
Nobody, you know, Elon Musk does not have $1 trillion in cash. It is all in assets. It is in stocks. It is in the value of his companies that he almost certainly would not be able to liquidate in the, you know, with the drop of a hat. What is also important to note is that everybody can buy those stocks, right? These are shares, and I think it's interesting thinking about what happened in the 1980s, where Margaret Thatcher wanted to privatize an enormous amount of public industries, and one of them being telecoms. Look at how far we have gone when it came to telecoms and developments. I mean, even just thinking about the way in which telecoms like BT in the UK, where people had to line up and queue up for days in order for them to be able to buy a telephone, a legally mandated telephone. The fact that we even think about that today, you know, we've got so many different offerings for the way in which we're able to connect with other people. And it's also why I think that when we're talking about entrepreneurs and the value that they provide, Elon Musk's value, I think, in satellite technology has been invaluable, not just from a, yes, we can get great connections whenever we are, wherever we are. It also means that people that are living in wartime, living in conflicts, those in Iran, when the Iranian government tried to shut down their technological capabilities and they were not able to tell the rest of the world what was going on, they had Starlink, and they could tell the rest of the world the brutality of the Iranian regime.
Reem, you've only got a minute to answer this, but why are we so bad at explaining to people what freedom, democracy, rule of law, property rights and capitalism have given to them? Why are we so bad at that?
We used to be quite great at it, and I think a lot of it is that people remember the fall of the Berlin Wall. They remember that people were fleeing the East, they were fleeing socialism. People died, 18-year-olds died to try and flee socialism and enter into the freedom that capitalism has given us. And yet, unfortunately, lots of people today do not remember that. They do not remember the ills of socialism, and all they do know is their own particular circumstances. And we must be very clear about this.
Reem, I will tell you, Reem, I think you're right. I think the fundamental problem with all of these people out protesting is that they assume that what they've got is automatic and that anything else they do is additional to it. And that is not the case. The reality is freedom isn't free.
Yes, we must fight for liberty every single day, and that's why I do what I do.
And we are losing it, aren't we? Anyway, that is just one other thing. He doesn't really care about money, does he, Elon Musk? He's obsessed with what he's obsessed with X and with his robotics and with this. He's not actually worried about money.
I don't think it matters what he is particularly concerned about individually. I think what matters is the value he's created and the value he's provided the rest of the world. Exactly. I don't care what his own personal politics are. I don't care what his opinions are on what the best toppings are on pizza.
I don't know what his politics are. I know he likes freedom, that's it.
OK,
yes.
Reem, we're going to have to leave it there. Reem Ibrahim, look,
nice to see you, Reem.
I just want to make this point very, very clearly to everybody. Look, this man has not got $1 trillion in cash. He controls companies. This gives him the ability to continue to innovate.
Anyway, coming up after the news is Britain's Elon Musk, George Gilbert. Yeah, Elizabeth II, you know, guy with the ginger hair got thrown off Big Brother, so make sure you join us. But first of all, it's going to be the news. It's Andre and Ash on Talk 0344 499 1000. Give us a bell.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and George Gilbert. And this is the first time that we've seen George Gilbert since the new documentary on YouTube has come out about him. I've got to be honest with you, I only watched it yesterday, but it has been out for a couple of weeks.
And we
George,
star in it, don't we?
Yeah, George, I will tell you what my impression of the documentary was. First of all, any documentary like that's incredibly risky. I think you came across well. I think what's his name? Josh Peters.
Josh Peters, yeah.
What Josh Peters, I think...
He was the producer of it, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
presenter. And
yeah, so there had to be a bit of an angle, and it was the sort of manosphere and all this sort of thing. But what it was for me was somebody who fundamentally believes in ideas and debating and whatever. And what it came across, I think, in the documentary was the way I see you. As somebody
So he was
who throws-
following you around, wasn't he? In this
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So we spent 3 days with each other. First, I took him on a tour of my village where I was parish councillor. And
What an amazing place.
I know, gorgeous.
In
Say
Essex?
Essex. It's called Finchingfield, if you want to pay a visit. They say it's the most painted village in the whole of the UK.
Is it?
So I don't know who measures that, but we'll take it. Not going to complain.
But it is what's really interesting is that you do come from the idyllic English countryside thing. Now I know it's not idyllic because at some point you start. Another video I watched about you was complaining about the lack of heating oil or the expense of it.
Yeah.
So I know it's not idyllic necessarily, but you are from. If you were to speak to a Chinese person or an American and go, what does a British village look like? You come from that.
Yeah, that's exactly the place you want to show these people. In fact, we've had many Japanese tourists. They come, school trips come to it. I don't really
Does it
know
have a
why,
little
but-
pond in the middle and the stocks and the village pub? And
Yeah, so you got...
No,
I've
got to be honest with you.
pubs.
I've got to be honest with you, George. I can completely understand why Japanese tourists would come because it looks like an English village.
The chocolate box.
And at the end of the day, to you, an English village is an English village, but to them, they've flown quite far to see one.
Exactly. And actually, it's very hard to find villages that are so quintessentially British these
How many
days.
people live in it?
1,400.
So you all know each other then? You're all in each other's business like
inbred.
neighbours?
Well, there's 3 pubs, a post office and a defibrillator. That's about it. But what more could you want?
And you.
Yeah, I
What's
suppose.
it like
Well,
there?
actually, I'm not even the most famous person there.
Who's you,
Ever
is
heard
it?
of Jamie Oliver?
No,
he lives in
never heard
he lives in where the Shire village Squire, used to live in the Lord's Mansion.
Yeah,
he bought it a few years ago.
funny
Gorgeous
about
place.
him. He has had to, and look. I made a video on my YouTube channel which was smug git attacked by migrants. He's had to put additional security on his house because of the migrant camp. RF Weatherfield, is it called?
Weathersfield, yeah.
Weathersfield.
So that's 5 minutes from where I live, and as a parish councillor, that all happened at the same time I was on the council. So we had a lot of people getting in touch with us, writing to us, asking why it's happening. Nobody wants them here, and all of our representatives have been over and over again against this, but it's the likes of Robert Jenrick. He just seems to think it's okay to invite all these people in here when he was Conservative.
Well, he did, yeah.
So I got the impression from the
we pay the price.
I got the impression from the documentary. I think first and foremost, you are somebody. I don't think you're a wind-up merchant. I genuinely don't, and I don't think you're an angry man either. I think the angry man thing they kind of hinted at. I don't think the wind-up merchant's true either. I think you're somebody who literally just goes, I wonder if this is true. Let's just throw that out and debate it. Yeah. And I just think one of the things about you, and I think this did come across in the documentary, that there is nothing malicious in anything you say.
You say what you see.
Yeah, I try and be as upfront. I am what I say, what it says on the tin type thing as I can be, because if there's one thing we're lacking in society today,
if you're watching there is Finchingfield, look at the idea. Look at that, the monument, the church. There's a what's that? The lake, is it, or something?
Yeah, well, that's a pond.
I bet you've been in there on a night when you've had a few to drink. It's dangerous though. Don't do that.
Yeah, a lot of knife crime in Finchingfield. Not.
There probably will be though.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I remember when they used to say about 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, they used to go, oh, there's knife crime all over Britain, apart from down in the southwest in Cornwall.
Well,
now,
it's
now
urban
it's all
areas,
over.
really.
Now it is all over Cornwall and everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
now.
well, we did actually have. I remember a case a few years ago. Someone got raped in an alley in our village, and you think you can't really get away from it these days. But that's why
it's going to get worse.
Yeah, well, that's why we need more severe law and order, in my opinion. It's got out of hand.
The other thing about, by the way, in this interview, I get the impression that you're not that interested in talking about yourself. You're more interested in talking about ideas. Is that fair? Is that a fair
It's
assessment?
good. It's clever how you've made us think that.
I say in it, I'm not a conventionally political person. I'm just a disgruntled normie, really. I see things, a lot's happening in the big bad world out there, and I try and come up with solutions, just figure out how to resolve it.
You probably come from very old English stock, don't you? Like thousands of years before. What do you think about Anglo-Saxons going, we're the English, whereas there's people who've been here thousands of years before? Do you think you're more the indigenous English
Well, have you ever heard of the
ethnicity?
Picts?
Yeah.
So they lived north of the of Hadrian's Wall.
Scottish.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you Pict? You're a long way from home.
Possibly, but possibly. Maybe I'm a Pict, but I don't think so. I get my hair from my dad, and he did a DNA test. 79% British, 20% Scandinavian. So I think, before the Ice Age, it was connected to Scandinavia, Doggerland.
And about the hair, which he always takes a mick out of me the way I say that word. But about the hair, look, you've said. I mean, you've said a lot of things about relationship. By the way, one of the points I thought you made, which was excellent, is this. There's no point in being embarrassed about being a virgin when you can go to a nightclub tonight and buy someone half a cider and not be a virgin anymore.
Exactly.
I mean,
He's tried that. He's still got it. I get that.
But on your colouring, you've said that you're one of the most unusual combinations, the pale skin, blue eyes and ginger hair.
Correct.
It is very red.
Yep.
And you would like somebody who is similarly coloured in order to maintain that genetic bloodline. Now, I will tell you something. Actually, a large number of people find, if you like, their own kind attractive. That is to say that actually, Asian people quite often find other Asian people attractive. Chinese people find other Chinese people. What was interesting about this, you didn't even say, I find other gingers attractive. What you said was, I quite like the idea of having ginger kids.
Exactly.
And that was offensive.
I know. It's like, I've not even ruled out, if I meet the love of my life and it's a black woman or a Chinese woman, so be it. But I'm just saying, it's just a thought I've had in my mind. As somebody with a very rare genetic combination, is it such a bad thing?
It's not that rare, is it?
Well, it's 0.01%, they reckon. Something
really?
Like that. Well, if you think about it, apart from Northern European descent people...
of the world, yeah.
Well, even of this country.
Yeah, but
I'm walking down the street here, down Tooley Street.
Yeah.
How many people do I see with red hair?
1%?
Yeah, probably less than that, actually.
I've got to be honest with you. I know a fair few people with your colouring, but then again, my family are Irish Catholics. So it's
strange when you see a whole herd of ginger people together.
Yeah, there's a few festivals. I had a DM from someone say, we'd love for you to come to the Redhead Festival back a couple months ago.
Red hair.
And I said, maybe, but it's a bit cringy. I don't like them gatherings.
There was a company...
Well, Chris Evans, of course, ginger... Everyone had to have ginger hair.
Yeah.
There was a company that wanted to do a photo shoot for ginger models. And now, look, the world has changed more recently.
Such a thing?
But
no, there are. There are.
I've done a bit of modelling in my time.
That famous woman, I saw her once.
No, actually, ginger male models, when this company tried to do it, say, 15 years ago, there was zero. Just weren't any, because it used to be laughable.
Yes.
Well, no, but if you look back to the pre-Raphaelite paintings, the most beautiful women, and with the bright red hair in the water lying in the floral dress.
If you try and do photos of somebody 15 years ago, the pre-Raphaelites are dead.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if this was like it was in your days at school, but my dad was bullied for his hair.
Oh, without doubt.
Yeah, were you
Duracell battery.
No.
Copper top.
I actually got a cigarette because I'm pale, white, and then at the top, bit of red.
I wasn't. People didn't have a go at me for having ginger hair simply because it was much more blonde than ginger, and there seemed to be. Right. So to me, I think ginger hair's cool, right? But there seemed to be this. There seemed to be this.
You're on your own there.
There seemed to be this.
It is cool.
There seemed to be this delineation where if you were on the blonde side, it was fine, and if you're more, and actually my hair colour wasn't that different.
Is there racism between different gingers?
No, I say come one, come all. I'm very woke in that respect. But yeah, so in the documentary, to go back to the point, I spent the first day taking him around the village, showing him what's what, little house tour as well.
There are a lot of gingers in the village?
No, I'm the only ginger in the village. Like,
Not
do you
even
remember
your family?
Little Britain, only gay in the village?
Not even your
only
family?
ginger in the village. Well,
The
as I say,
milkman is like...
No, my dad was, but he's bald and grey now, so...
That's
sadly.
where you're going to
Well, it's
go.
probably not grey, it's probably more
Not
white.
necessarily.
Yes, that's right.
'Cause
We
he's
go
not
white,
grey.
not grey.
You don't go grey.
But yeah, so I'm
Well,
making
Chris
use
Evans,
of it.
of course,
I'm
is now
I've
white.
made it a bit of my unique selling point. But the reason I grow my hair out is because I used to do acting, and it's great for catching people's eyes. Because if there's one value you've got as an actor, it's to try and stand out visually.
A gimmick or
That's
something.
why you're booked for jobs.
Some of them say a speech impediment is
Yeah, well, do you know about that Amy Lou Wood, is it? She's got rabbit teeth. She's in White Lotus, but she says all throughout her childhood she was bullied for her teeth.
Bonnie
like
Langford,
a rabbit,
famous
and that's
ginger.
why
Do you know
she's
Bonnie
now,
Langford?
Yeah, I do know of her. She's a dancer.
Do you all
or
meet
something?
together in secret ginger clubs?
Nah. Should arrange something like that, but yeah, the second day took him to work with me. I wasn't actually doing that job, I was doing delivery driving on the day, but that was the only job I could bring Josh Peters and a camera crew around with me because I was self-employed.
Do you find
just
people
go
not
around
want you on the
myself.
shop floor because of your ginger hair serving customers?
Well, actually, it's an awkward predicament I'm in because this is kind of what I was raising in the documentary.
At McDonald's it would be good. Didn't you work at McDonald's?
No, I feel I'm too big to necessarily get a customer-facing job,
Well,
but
now
too
you are,
small
yeah.
to get a job off the back of being on Big Brother, measly little Big Brother. So it's an awkward one, and that's why I feel like I've got no other choice but to maybe do something on the political spectrum.
You've got
and then
to,
next thing I know, I'm getting cancelled by Reform. So I can see I would never do
You
this.
just
but I
got to
can
be a
see
political
why.
commentator on your own.
I can see why a lot of reality stars do commit suicide because it's like you've got to keep up this image of having it all figured out, having your ducks in a row, driving Rolls Royce, going on Dubai holidays. But where's this money coming from?
But are we? But are we exploiting you?
That's the trouble, isn't it? It's exploiting people with...
That's the avenue they're trying to take.
The reason people do get in trouble is because they do exploit people with some problems. Well, I don't think you have that, but you get depressed people who have to be on telly and bipolar people who just... I don't think you have any, but a lot of people will, and they take advantage of that, don't they?
True, and they
like a backstory as well. So.
Yeah, well, the thing is, in the documentary, I think I touched on this as well, but I feel like any time I've flirted with the idea of doing political commentary on YouTube or whatever, and my family are all saying, "Oh no, it's a bit too controversial. You don't want to take the mick out of the wrong group." Type thing. So I feel like I don't want to.
As a career,
I don't want to put them in danger. So I won't do politics. But then what do I do? Because my hands are tied. So
British
that's why.
history.
Yeah, you say that, but
British
do you really
villages.
think BBC are going to hire me for Country File now?
No, they
do you really
won't,
think
no.
people interested in that, as soon as they hear my political views,
But
would they still tune
YouTube is
in?
the... Well,
No,
that's
they
what I
wouldn't.
mean. YouTube is the future, not
Yeah,
normal
well,
terrestrial
in
television.
theory. But I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago, but I'm actually moving house from Finchfield. I'm getting on a property ladder.
You bought a house,
That's
didn't you?
right, and completion date's probably next week. So once I've got my own
Very
place,
good.
I'll have my own setup, and I think I will just do the political commentary thing. Because if, supposing I got doxed and my address was leaked, I wouldn't be putting my family in danger. But now I just want to go full steam ahead, because right now I'm working
Just put
jobs
yourself
that-
in danger.
Well, right now I'm working, and it's decent money, actually. I'm a rich truck driver. It's soul-crushing.
Well, truck
Honestly,
driving did get paid more when we left the European Union, simply enough,
well,
because
all
they
the
had
Poles
to...
went home, didn't they? But this is it. I'm working a job I hate right now, and when I got the job, when I got the gig on Big Brother, I thought, oh, my ship's coming. It's all going to be happy days from now. 10 days in, get booted out.
You're gonna be
and
the
I
new
feel like
Ryland.
everything's gone. Well, maybe, I don't know. But
But you've kept your profile up.
I feel you say that, but unless you're earning, then it all means
no
nothing,
point,
really.
yeah,
So,
but,
yeah, I think I will just lean into YouTube once I get my place. But it's been tough, and I do feel for anyone. There was a guy on Love Island, he went home. There was rumours that it was microaggression. He was subliminally racist. So I was going to get in touch with him to say, like, condolences, mate, sorry to hear this. Turns out it wasn't microaggression, it was family reasons. But any reality star that finds himself in a spot of trouble, I know how much it means to have people get in touch in those dark times.
She's a counsellor. If you've been on one of those reality shows, you can contact
No.
But on the subject
Not anymore.
but on the subject of exploitation, look, I mean, what we do here is attempt to give people a platform, but obviously this is not a job that you're doing with me.
Yeah.
You might receive a small amount of money or maybe nothing, but it's the intention is that you're able to build up yourself on it. What amazed me about the documentary was I actually think the piety of Big Brother, who knew full well you had been in the practice house the year before.
Exactly.
They knew exactly what you were, and basically what they did was they used you, in my view, in order to court controversy, and then when you broke their policies, they booted you out. And when there was criticism in the press of booting you out, lo and behold, somebody leaked. Somebody, by the way, the head of communications at ITV or whatever channel. Let's be clear. Let's be clear, right? Not the guy who works at the bar, not the bloke who brushes the.
Yeah.
So we've got a leak for you. Don't attribute it to anybody.
All
right?
publicity is good publicity.
Right? He's a racist. He's an anti-Semite. I mean, I think they've got questions to answer.
They may have set you up because I mean, you couldn't get more white guy than you, could you? You'd pin it, and so they probably thought, well, let's get this guy in, and we'll really get him.
Yeah, and I'd already said on the show that I liked Nigel Farage, and I was a Reform voter, so I was prime
they
target.
must have hated you.
The thing is, I don't like playing the victim. I'm not into that. Meghan and Harry and all this rubbish. It's not my style. So I don't want to be on here just saying, "Oh,
he's an
pity me."
embarrassment to gingers.
Yeah,
But have they exploited
you? Big Brother, you mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and play the victim, like I say. You sign your life away when you go on these shows. You could say
they knew who
there's a
you
strong
were.
argument. They knew everything about me.
But equally, you know, I don't know about all these reality TV shows, but on American Idol, right, in order to enter American Idol, you had to sign a contract with Simon Fuller's music management company for 10 years. Right? And basically, if they didn't want you to put anything out, they failed to grant you permission. Now, this is America, not the UK. They failed to grant you permission to go on the TV.
Yeah.
Right? And you think to yourself, OK, but did they say, which is what we would have done at News UK, hey, listen, you don't want to sign that contract without a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
That's what would have happened here. What they actually said was, hey, we'll make your dreams come true. Sign this 50-page document that you haven't read.
Small print, I'm not going to read
story.
it. Exactly. But the thing that got me is, with Josh Peters and his team, they were great to me and even giving me that opportunity. It's something that will always be on YouTube. So I'm grateful when it's showing me. And
I think you came across well.
With my grandkids or whatever, when my red hair, blue eye grandkids come along, it's like to show them. So it's good in that respect. But him and his team were saying, oh, you've got to go away from this political stuff. You're built for entertainment. You're such a character. You're missing a trick doing politics.
But always remember, Josh Peters is a nice guy, but he's a massive coward because he's as right-wing as you are, and he's not willing to admit it because he fears what his audience will say.
Well, you say that. He's one of these... He lives in Earl's Court. He's doing very well for himself. So I like Josh. If you're watching Josh, I like you, mate, but you're a champagne socialist.
He's not He's
not right-wing.
He isn't.
I had a book on my shelf and he had a problem with that because it's not woke enough.
But what he said about your Adolf Hitler books was, if somebody was coming round to film, I'd move them.
What was the book?
It was Sir Ian Kershaw, brilliant biographer.
Bit Brexity.
He wrote a biography of Hitler, and actually the producer of that documentary.
But there was a critical point about that.
Yeah.
He didn't say don't read the book. He said, if I'd have owned it, I'd have moved it out the way.
Yeah, and I said that wouldn't be the authentic George.
But that's precisely my point.
Yeah, exactly. And the producer of this documentary had a Jewish father, and she told me her Jewish dad has that book on his bookshelf. It's not anti-Semitic to have a biography about somebody. I want to learn from history, so I don't. So if I see an upcoming Hitler, I know.
But with respect, I'm sorry to nail the point again.
Yeah.
He didn't say, I wouldn't own the book. He said, owning the book's good. He said, reading the book's good. He said, had I invited somebody into my bedroom, I would have removed it for the optic.
So
which
you're
is a
saying
very different
he's
thing.
wearing a
It's
mask.
a very different thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you should. If he's saying you should read it, then you should show it. Anyway, you know, it's historical figure. Just
Exactly.
because it's a book about Hitler doesn't even Mein Kampf. I had a German girlfriend. She saw it in the library here, and she was shocked because it's obviously banned in Germany. But you know, it's an historical.
You've got to learn from history, right?
Exactly.
And I've got Karl Marx's book. Communism's killed 100 million people in 100 years.
Yeah,
he had no problem with that.
Do not read Mein Kampf. Can I tell you why? It's awful. It's one of the worst written books you will ever come
And the ending, it was
Don't spoil it. I'm halfway through.
It's literally, and another thing, and another. It sounds like just some bloke got drunk and just.
He was in his cell, prison cell. Wasn't
But the
he?
point is, it's easy for people like Josh to tell me, don't go into politics, just get a normal job. I've been applying to different journalist-type jobs. I thought that'd be a bit of me, but nobody will want me because I'm dangerous goods.
OK, well, do you want George? Give us a ring, 03444991000. He's a ginger. Who's your most favourite famous ginger? Simply Red, the guy. There's a Bonnie Langford.
I grew a beard, I look like him.
You know, so give us a ring, 03444991000. You can leave us a voice note if you're a bit embarrassed as well, or text us 87222 with the word talk in your message. It's Talk with Andre and Ash.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and let me tell you some dreadful news. We're here with George Gilbert.
That is bad news.
We're here with George. We're here with George Gilbert, and we are talking about people who stand up for their opinions, people who are honest and decent and whatever. I want to congratulate Greg Hands, the defeated Member of Parliament for Fulham and Chelsea, on receiving a knighthood. What is it? Knighthood for being a sellout? Knighthood for being a squirming, nasty,
That's normally how you get them, isn't it? That is normally
waste
the way.
of
I'm
time.
I'm surprised you two ain't got one then.
Yeah, we should have one by now.
But no,
I hate
knighthoods
Greg
mean
Hands.
nothing anymore. They're just given out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
My hero of music, David Bowie, he turned down a knighthood
Did he?
because he didn't want it. He found
said,
it a bit
I don't want a
pretentious.
knighthood.
He didn't want the money. He didn't need the money,
Is there
did he?
life on knighthood?
He did like the costume and all that.
Yeah, what a guy. I love Bowie. Oh.
So
favourite.
tell us, George, about your working life. What do you do now? Because obviously there was the issue with the cleaning. Looked like, I mean, I have to say to you, maximum respect for the fact that you were out delivering parcels for a living, and I think that you won Josh Peters over with that.
Yeah, I could tell he ain't worked a day in his life. He was hardly helpful.
Was he
shall we
born
say.
with a silver
But,
spoon in his
no,
mouth?
I think so.
no, he's a good guy, and he's done very well for himself in his own endeavours. And he's doing good now. He runs a production company.
My impression of Josh Peters, by the way, is this: is that look, he is somebody who comes from a successful family.
Yeah.
but he's made himself a success as well.
Yeah,
right.
He's great at what he does.
There's no point in saying that he has a successful YouTube business because of his dad. I mean, that would just not be true.
Yeah. Andy Peters, his dad, yeah.
I don't know his dad. Well, he's not the right makeup for that. No. So Josh Peters,
you just always throw it out, don't you? Just always.
I rate it.
It's just always.
No, I'm very thankful for them to make the documentary about me, but yeah, it made me think whilst doing those jobs. You say like, congratulations for doing those jobs, but delivery work like that, you don't even get paid minimum wage. But
really,
I suppose that's thing
illegal.
that you're paid by parcel that you deliver, and their work equate to about 30p, and they take a month of Sundays to find if you.
They don't
in
give
the
you time to go to the toilet as well. I heard.
No, you've got to go.
My mate worked for one of the famous delivery companies, and
how are Amazon?
He told me a story. No, it was a food delivery, which makes the story even worse. This woman, he delivered food, my friend's friend who worked for the company, and she had still had a bag, and she went to return it, open the door, and he was having a number 2 in the back of the van into her bag.
Cool story, bro.
Well, you know, that's just what happens.
One thing that Big Brother could help
things.
For future contestants
They don't give
going
them
on
time.
Big Brother, they could help guide you with how you continue life after going on a show like that, or any reality for that matter. Because
but what is the point of any of it? I mean, look. At the end of the day, I'm on TV and radio, and the reason I'm on TV and radio is because I like to debate for a living, right? I remember Elton John, who, I mean, clearly, let's be clear, Andre Walker and Elton John are nowhere near each other in terms of. But he said, "Oh, being famous is the price I pay for wanting to be a rock star." Right, and he just likes playing rock and pop music and has to be Elton John as a result. I think that what happens with reality TV is that being famous is being respected for doing something well. Yeah. Whereas in Big Brother, you're just famous for being on the telly.
For being famous.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's why people want a shortcut these days. We're seeing Kim Kardashian. She's a billionaire, isn't she? And she's going here, there, everywhere at the Monaco Grand Prix the other day, wasn't it? And yeah, was she famous for?
Famous for being famous.
For being famous.
Well, it was Paris Hilton, wasn't it? Paris Hilton was sort of the first
there's
one.
a lineage of them. But that's why young people are looking at that, going, "Oh, why would I want to work for a living, delivering parcels? I can be an influencer."
Yeah. But there are lots of people who cease to be famous and then get a normal job. There are people who do that. I'll tell you. I was reading about
Bob Garrelgees.
Is his name? Yeah, that's a good example. Michael Truton is a Piers Fletcher Dervish from the New Statesman, which you will not remember. But he just said, "I don't really like being famous." He was one of the biggest stars on ITV because of the New Statesman, which was a comedy show about Conservative MPs. And then he became a drama teacher in Kent. And I think you can do that. But the point is about Michael Truton, assuming I'm pronouncing his name right, he has a skill. He's gone to college and learnt how to be an actor. So basically, when he decides he no longer wants to be an actor, he can be a drama teacher because he's qualified to do it. The big problem with getting your bum out on Celebrity Love Island is that your bum can't get a job when it's no longer of interest to ITV.
There is a market for it.
I think be serious for a second.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you anywhere.
Well, there is a market for that. For a tiny percentage of people, the Molly Mays or there's about probably half a dozen people in all of Love Island history who are still smashing it. The rest, they're all back at bars, selling shots.
Big Brother, there was quite a few, wasn't there? The Scouse guy did the DIY shows. There was
Alison
Ryland,
Hammond.
there was Jay
Josie
Goody, Alison Hammond. There's been quite a few.
But those were in the days where everyone was watching it. Now, you get probably 1/10 of the amount of
But
viewers.
Love Island, that's true. Even that's not that big.
Yeah, well, the only reality show smashing it is Traitors. And
I'm a Celebrity, but they're already quite well-known people.
Well, you say that.
But the purpose of something like The Traitors is the same as Judge Rinder, which is to suggest it's not just exploitation. They've tried to make it into something. Like Judge Rinder is basically trash talk pretending to be a courtroom. Let's be honest. And then when it comes to Traitors, oh no, it's not reality TV. It's a game show. It's reality TV, right? You can still. I mean, you know full well that you can rig Big Brother easily, and they do.
Yeah, true. But I look at these Traitors contestants. Millions were watching that show. It was.
Did you watch it?
I did, and I actually enjoyed. I didn't watch the first few seasons, but this most recent one I did. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But what are those guys doing now? Because, again, they're too big to go and work at the Tesco checkouts, but too small to necessarily get brand deals from being a traitor. Who gives a toss?
I think that's right.
So it's a very awkward
What is the
predicament.
future?
And these people that went on the show, or went on any show for that matter, to get famous because it's an easier life than working for a living, those guys are going to be depressed because the penny's dropped so that they can't sustain
There was a
this
reality
lifestyle.
TV show called I Want to Marry Harry, which was basically where they tricked
I've heard
a load of American girls into believing that they were going to date Prince Harry.
Yeah.
The guy who played Prince Harry, even though they said, ordinary bloke, well, it was something like he'd studied civil engineering. And they said, he stands in pipe holes for a living.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he had a good job. Now, my understanding is he won the series because she actually stayed with him when she discovered he wasn't Prince Harry. Got £500,000, which they split.
Wow.
She got rid... Because obviously when the camera's in front of her going, are you going to stay with him now he's not Prince Harry?
Yeah.
She's going... Yes, I will, and never phoned him again. Hey, the fireworks go off. She's not going to go, no, I'm not, is she? So he gets the money and then returns to being a civil engineer. And that's fine. But, of course, that's not the reality of most people.
Yeah, well, it's similar with Meghan Markle. It's people...
She was the contestant. She went on to marry the real...
people marry other people just because of their fame and their wealth. And that's why I'm not going to sit here sticking up for someone like Prince Andrew, but you do think if people are hanging around in these circles with the likes of Prince Andrew, it's easy to manipulate them because, I don't mind sleeping with Prince Andrew even though I'm underage because he's a royal. How exciting is that? And then a few years down the line, they might wake up and go, that was rape.
George,
I could do this.
George, I think it's important to remember that what you said was hypothetical and there is no suggestion that Prince Andrew slept with anyone underage. It was hypothetical,
Of
what
course,
you just said.
Yeah.
OK.
But that's it. Many rich and famous people have had accusations of all sorts of crimes thrown at them. So I think it is important to take any accusation with a pinch of salt. Innocent to proven guilty.
But I think it's also important to bear in mind that we live in an age of celebrity where people are obsessed. You have to understand, I and Asha and you are ordinary geezers just who happen to be doing this job. Right? The idea that we are better than other people is ludicrous. The idea that we should be more...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. And fame does get to a lot of people's heads. That, I get noticed down the street. That means I'm a somebody. It's water for ducks back to me.
Yeah, but let's be honest, right? Let's live in the real world. When somebody walks up to you and goes, I saw you on the telly, everyone loves that. Right, I mean, come on, let's live in the real world.
Well,
but
I was...
Are you telling me...
Depends what I'm doing, doesn't it?
When somebody... Well, I mean, if you're in a public toilet having a poo, it's not great, is
I
it?
don't mind.
Well, I like to think you shut the door.
When you're thinking...
As long as I knock first.
What you're thinking, but they're listening to what it sounds like. Can I sing?
Mine sounds like a symphony.
I get this horrible feeling. I don't like being noticed. Every time I go out, I'm almost always wearing a hat. Because supposing I'm just walking down Tesco's aisles to do my shopping, I feel like I have to cover up because I just don't... It's not even like I don't like being noticed. It's just I don't want people to think I'm trying to get attention.
Can I be honest with you? I don't really think about it, but it's different, I think, for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's the same.
Do you get noticed a lot?
A fair amount. But what tends to happen is it tends to be very, very polite people. So I'll tell you one story that will make you laugh. I got onto the tube at London Bridge, and at Westminster, one of our contributors got on, Sam Armstrong. You know, he's quite posh, all this sort of thing. Anyway, somebody got on and went, "Oi," to me. They went, "What is a woman?" I'd made a viral video about what is a woman. He went, "What is a woman?" Right, like this. And I went, "Oh, hello." And he went, "Transphobic fat bitch." and I went, "What?" And like, he kept repeating it. And he's going to everyone else. He goes, no, he's a transphobic fat bitch. He's awful. Right? He sounded like Alan Carr, but a skinny version. Right, so anyway, of course, I'm trying to talk away and he's shouting. And I said, I think he likes me. So I walked off on the station that I was getting off at. I forget which one it was. But I walk on to the escalator, and he runs past. He goes, "You could run too if you weren't such a transphobic fat bitch." Gets to the top.
His problem?
Gets to the top of the escalator.
Yeah.
Right, and I get to the top of the escalator, just standing there, and he's waiting for me. Lets me walk past.
Yeah.
Get on to the next, and then he ran past, did it again, and. But I'll tell you what most people do with me. They just sort of walk up and they go, "Really sorry to bother you, but I do watch your show and I think it's great," or whatever.
Yeah. No, I've never had a negative face-to-face interaction. Every single day I have notifications, predominantly on Instagram or TikTok, someone commenting something on one of my posts, slagging me off. "Oh, you look... You're an embarrassment," or "You're such a bigot." I get all those types of things. It's water for ducks back to me.
Yeah,
but the point is, in person, people lose their
but I think
balls
their
to
bottle.
say... I find it quite funny.
Keyboard warriors.
I actually disagree with that. I think that if you do this job, people are going to judge you, right?
Yeah, but if you saw someone you disliked in public who is in the public eye, wouldn't you just be quiet? Would you take the time to slag them off?
Just to be clear on my point, I think that when people take to social media to slag people off, they don't really see it as real.
And often they meet people in real life and they go, "Actually, he was a nice guy."
Yeah.
I mean, when you say, and I hate all this, incitement, all this garbage or threats, when somebody goes, "Oh, if I see Andre Walker, I'll kill him," they're not actually going to kill me if they see me, right? It's not real, and they're just having a bit of a laugh.
It's this parasocial... It's this iron curtain, if you will.
Yeah.
They don't know that there is a human on the other side of that.
But we are sat here inviting people to think and talk and comment on what we're saying. You can't complain when they do it.
Yeah, no, I think anyone who puts themselves in the public eye is asking for it, and you've got to have a thick skin, otherwise it will get you down.
Do you know what? I don't think you do. I just think you have to see it for what it is. The person that says, "If I see George Gilbert in the street, I'll thump him," if he saw you in the street, will not thump you.
Well, let's hope so, but we'll find out maybe, next time you're on, if that has happened. No, don't thump George Gilbert, say hello.
Please,
don't, just be nice to him. 03444991000, it's the press review, and the sad news is David Hockney died, and in the Sun, he did a masthead once, and they've reprinted it there. The foolish BBC reported that David Hockney had resigned from the British government. The idiots. Did you see? They really did do that, the thick idiots at the BBC. And the other great news is...
They probably blamed Israel.
Jordan's boyfriend, Katie's Lee, goes free. Yes, conman husband, number 5 or 6. He's out of jail. He was in jail. No one quite knows why he was in jail in Dubai. He
probably did nothing at all.
Yeah, I'm sure he did nothing at all. Anyway, look, we're behind in breaks. We'll be going through this very important story in this, and after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
William the Conqueror.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and George Gilbert. Let me help you with that. Let me help you with that. So, obviously, the Palace of Westminster. Sorry, George went on.
We've got
to teach history because of our British education. We have to teach the children.
I was fortunate enough to go to Parliament for the first time earlier this week. Helen Whately, MP for Mid Kent, great woman. I was invited there because she's Conservative, but I found out about it. It was a survey all about youth unemployment, and I told my story in this simple Google survey, and they invited me. So it was a focus group, all sat around a table in Portcullis House.
The modern one.
That's right, yeah. It's on the back of the 1p piece, isn't it? Portcullis House. Yeah. The gate.
Well, the Portcullis is.
But that's what it's from. So
not on the actual
went there, saw Hannah Spencer.
I think it's important to understand that both the coin and the building are named after a portcullis, which is medieval.
And it's still there on the building.
Yes, it is, very fascinating. It's like walking through a museum. It's gorgeous. Because we went after the focus group, where we all told our stories about youth unemployment, and then spoke to this Baroness. The Baroness kindly gave us a tour to the House of Lords. So walked through Westminster
Baroness
Hall,
Kylie.
where the Baroness Deborah something, great woman, from Paddington, she said. Anyway, we went to Westminster Hall, where the Queen was laying in state.
Now, that's nearly 1,000 years old.
Well, we were told, I think the tour guide got this wrong, but we were told the building was built in 1066.
Yeah, William the Conqueror.
But it wouldn't have been built the year of the invasion. It would have been 1070.
It took a few years, to get the quotes in. And
let's just be clear on this. It was a development over a period of time. The Palace of Westminster originally was an island in the middle of the Thames. It's been drained on the other side. So effectively, William the Conqueror had his coronation banquet in Westminster Hall, but there is very little left of that. So they more. I'll tell you what they more consider it. They more consider it to be something that was built by William the Conqueror after the invasion of 1066 on a building that was much older. But it would have been made out of wood and whatever.
Well, the gable roof is about 600 years old.
Well, they said all of the buildings in that area have been lost throughout the years, predominantly during the Fire of London, 1666.
They found a room a few years ago that had been shut off around.
They said Westminster Hall was the only one that was salvaged, hence why they can still claim the title.
We're getting a load of different things mixed up here. But there was a fire of 1834 where most of the Palace of Westminster was destroyed. However, it's really important to bear in mind it was a hodgepodge shambles of loads of wooden buildings of no real architectural merit. The reason why Westminster Hall was saved and part of St Stephen's Chapel, which is St Stephen's entrance, was saved was because they were the only bits that were of any interest. The reason why Guy Fawkes was able to plant bombs under the Palace of Westminster is because in those days a palace was much more like a fortress. So there would have been things like hairdressers, there would have been butchers and all that sort of thing in there, and all of those old medieval buildings that you would see that would seem quite familiar from your history books. The reality is, the grandeur that you see of Buckingham Palace, the grandeur that you see of perhaps even the Tower of London, the grandeur that you see of Windsor Castle and indeed the Palace of Westminster is largely a massive fake built later. So Westminster, the Palace of Westminster is supposed to look like a Tudor cathedral. It is in fact a Victorian fake.
And in the Second World War, when the incendiary, the Blitz, the chamber obviously got blown up. It burnt down the House of Commons, and Churchill famously said, "Forget the chamber," because the House of Commons chamber was only made in 1860, so it wasn't even 100 years old. He said, "Whatever you do, save the Westminster Hall and St Paul's," and that's what they did. Basically, they just saved them, and then they rebuilt the chamber as close as they could. It's not as elaborate as the House of Commons original, and I sat on the seats. I got told off for it, but I sat on the seats and they were 1950s. They were just like a 1950s car. Those springs with leather. They're really uncomfortable seats, man.
They've changed now. They've improved them a lot. But it's an amazing place. And what was? I mean, I'll tell you one thing about the modern Palace of Westminster. They created it, Pugin and Barry, but mostly Charles Barry, of course. He designed it in order to have the state opening of Parliament, so the Sovereign's entrance, the doors open, the Lord Chancellor, or rather the King. Sorry, the King can see. The Speaker of the House of Commons opposite.
That's
the
right.
doors get closed.
They're both open. You can see. And there's a little post office lurking in the.
There's everything in there. There's
police station.
And they said it may seem odd to have a post office bang in the middle of Parliament, but we're in central London. There's not actually many places you can send an envelope or wherever these days, so it's handy.
The reality is it's a modern office block. I mean, not so much that building, but the rest of it. I mean, obviously, as you know, but other people don't know, and it's not a secret we're giving away, there is a tunnel from Big Ben to the other side of the road, which is not sort of a secret tunnel with secret doors. It's a normal tunnel that you go, and what you do is you go through and you can go to Westminster Tube Station via not a secret entrance, but an entrance. There's
a guard outside, isn't there? You've got to show identification.
Lots of tunnels around there.
I think we need to bring back. We need to restore this method of architecture. You walk around...
Billions of pounds to repair.
Maybe Canary Wharf or the Shards opposite here. It's somewhat pretty, I guess, but it's so minimalist. It's just sheets of glass.
I was thinking that the other day, if you look at what we built 100 years ago, so elaborate, and then you look 200 years before, much more elaborate, and then you go to St Paul's Cathedral.
I know.
I think we've gone backwards.
Exactly. But I always remember when they said the memorial to Princess Diana. I always said I could design the memorial to Princess Diana. I'll tell you what you do. Big lump of stone. Then bronze statue of Princess Diana in a formal gear with a crown on. And then memorial to Princess Diana. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
And they went,
everyone's happy.
That's what it says on the tin.
What we're going to do is have a multi-faith river and all this sort of thing.
I know.
No, what they want is lump of stone, bronze Diana on it. That's
simple,
it.
no arguments. Brilliant. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. Do you want a chance to talk to Gilbert? He's here. George Gilbert, whatever you want to chat. He's the youth. He's our future, and he's got ginger hair. It's Talk with Andre and Ash, and we'll be back after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and we've got Ask Ash coming up, but also we've got Doctor Who coming up. Joe Stock is coming on at midnight to talk about Doctor... I didn't want it.
From the Talk Mystery Department. Where's Matt? With his glazed
He's in
over
Portugal.
look. It's a mystery. We don't know where he is, but Joe will be in from the mystery.
He's in Portugal, is Matt. He's. Can I tell you one thing about Matt Thornton, George Gilbert? Let me tell you this. I'm his boss. Now, because I want to... Because
you're the daddy round here.
I was about to say, because I want to save money. No, because I want to build Talk for the BMW 7 Series with the TVs and the curtains and all that sort of thing, and the driver. I give Matt a lift home. But he has, I will tell you, overstepped the mark multiple times. The videos that he has sent me from Portugal are unacceptable, right? They involve... Well, it's not acceptable what he sent me, right? It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that time when I tried to send a sexy video to somebody and accidentally typed in Hartley Brewer's phone number. It reminds me of that incident.
It was a good job Starmer's banning nudes.
Now, to be fair,
she want more.
She was impressed with the girth, if I'm being honest, but she was not happy in general about the video being sent. No, actually, I'll tell you what he sent me. On the serious note, he sent me his videos of himself and his mates performing karaoke in what can be best described as an inebriated state.
All right, karaoke. What's your karaoke
week,
song?
Mine?
Yeah.
Forgot About Dre.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
You'll know me, still the same old G.
What, Simply Red? You'll be Simply Red.
I would have performed.
Should be. No, but I like a bit of Sinatra, because you can play around with it, with the tempo and the rhythm. Fly Me to the Moon is a safe bet.
Tell you what I also like, Dragon Stanton Day.
How's that? What's that?
English, please.
Salut, sędzia un hajduk, wszyscy rok ubira ma
Talk about French music. Charles Trenet,
Picasso, tam dat beep, Jesse Vonig, das a stino cerne mig, vesa blesh da no ma no maye, no ma no maye.
It's the Eurovision.
Can I tell you something? Learning that song in Romanian took me but it took me longer to learn Forgot About Dre by Dr. Dre and Eminem, which I can rap all the way through.
In Romanian?
Do you know what? I would learn it in Romanian.
If you do that and you do it lyric for lyric next time
I'll tell you what.
I'll give you a fiver.
I went into a karaoke bar in Belgium once, and my mate was there, and we decided to. He said, I'll do the fire starter. And there was all these French people going, oh, the fire starter,
Je suis fire starter.
They were all absolutely appalled. Absolutely appalled. OK, look, it is important contractually for us to go through the front pages. So let's do that and pretend that this was a press preview. OK, on the front page of the Express, Asher.
The Express, World Heritage status for a memorial to D-Day heroes. A monument to our D-Day heroes is to be given World Heritage site. 50 miles of Normandy coastline, including the beaches stormed by Allied forces on June 6, 44, will have the same protection as sites such as the Taj Mahal and the pyramids, and rightfully so. And I've always wanted to visit that landscape, you know, where it's sort of strange because of all the munitions that have got.
You should go.
There's something very mysterious about it, and also celebrating Dame Helen. She's been made a companion of honour. She's great, Dame Mirren. She doesn't fall for the woke tard.
But
she stands up for
nothing yet for Christopher Biggins, because he's
Biggins for the House of Lords.
Because Biggins is considered to be a right winger.
He got chucked out of Big Brother. Actually.
Yeah, but then he was all right though. He was cleared, and they were naughty for saying he shouldn't have his views. The Independent. It's not Christopher Biggins. This is the great David Hockney on the front. The great David Hockney. He's died at 88. Amazing artist, really unique and very original. The way and the last 15 years, he sort of did it all on iPad. And he sort of made iPad art a serious thing, and all the other great art.
He was just getting lazy.
And
He was in his wheelchair.
That's the hype, isn't it? NFTs, all these
that
digital
all went,
artwork.
they're all worth nothing now. I knew at the time, I thought, you're idiots.
It's like the metaverse. Snoop Dogg was buying real estate in the metaverse.
And you can buy now. You can buy next door to Snoop Dogg for about $200.
Yeah.
Starmer.
Thanks.
In fact, our old producer Chuck used to live in the same block as Snoop Doggy Dogg in LA. He's got a few. Apparently, he's a really nice guy. Likes a bar.
He clearly is a nice guy.
Can I borrow a cup of sugar?
I reckon he'd smell a bit of
he did.
wacky-backy.
Apparently, so what Chuck, the producer, said, Snoop Dogg's flat that was in his building was only when he spent like a few days a month at the recording studio next door. It wasn't his main house. He said, you always knew when he was there. You'd walk into the building and just smell of weed.
A cloud of green smoke.
I love the way he just doesn't give a toss.
Well, it's all legal where he lives now. He's got his own... Yeah, it's all legal.
I wouldn't touch it even if it was legal.
No, don't touch it.
Never done drugs in my life.
No.
Maybe I'm missing out. People say, oh, you got to live a little.
Snoop Dogg would say you are, but you know...
No, but why do I want to be mentally lethargic by frying my brain cells away?
Yeah, that's a good... Why would... Give us a ring.
Correct.
Why would George Gilbert want to be mentally lethargic?
I'm mad enough without the gear.
Exactly. Starmer brace for Exodus as Burnham Reddy's top team. Manchester Mayor is understood to be sounding out candidates. Is he running before he can walk? You know what I mean? Is he counting his chickens? And the FT weekend, SpaceX shares saw 30% in historic debut. Anyway, shares surge on NASDAQ listing as they would. 30% yesterday. It's the biggest stock market debut in history, giving Elon Musk's rocket and AI group a valuation in excess of is it $2 trillion? Or it can't be 82 trillion, it must be $2 trillion, crowning him the world's first trillionaire. And police officer investigated over alleged use of AI to create evidential material. An English police force has removed an officer from frontline duties and launched a criminal investigation over the alleged use of AI to create evidence material in a number of cases. Derbyshire Constabulary told the FT then the officer was being investigated over allegations of perverting the course of justice. So he's done something on AI. Maybe we'll look into that.
Well, it might be, by the way, that he's not actually attempting to falsify something. Yeah. What he's done is that he's been lazy, gone onto his AI and gone, hey, do us a background report on this person, and given it as if he wrote it himself. Very dangerous.
That's what happened in Birmingham at the Villa match, didn't he? They got done for using AI, the police there, and he had to resign in the end. And then again, Hockney, the great David Hockney, one of the most popular and influential artists of the past century. I liked it that he smoked, and when they banned smoking here, he left here. He goes, well, if they're going to ban smoke... He left New York when they started banning smoking. He'd always have a flag.
I like his dress sense. I like that green cardigan.
He's got great dress sense. Yeah, sort of
most
stuff
artists
you wear.
do.
He wears that.
He looks about a bit like Reg Holsworth, you know, from Coronation Street.
That was the thing. He was a Northerner. He was a very down-to-earth...
might be Norris, actually.
I mean, he did look the artist, but he was very down-to-earth. He did those very famous LA paintings in the sunshine with Sting and all that. He was a lifelong smoker and campaigner against what he called bossiness. Hockney spent periods in Yorkshire and the US before moving to Normandy. 3 years he returned to London. Anyway, you've got 1 minute.
Talking of dress sense, sorry I haven't come in a shirt and tie. I was called in at very late notice.
Don't worry about it.
I was trying to make an effort coming in. I feel people should dress in a suit, maybe a tie.
Dress like a clown.
I was luckily in London anyway.
Let me tell you something.
I don't like dressing like this.
We appreciate you coming in. We appreciate you coming in at the last minute. Somebody else cancelled, but nobody.
We couldn't get anyone, so we scraped the bottom of the barrel. And here you are.
Can't say anything nice. Let's go. Come on.
Anyway, yes. So anything you want to say?
So by the way, Elon Musk. Great, SpaceX, I think it's great that he's a trillionaire. People say, oh, we shouldn't have billionaires anymore. I think he deserves it. He works bloody hard. I've read his biography and he deserves everything he gets. He's making humanity
He's not doing it
prosper.
for the money either.
Exactly, he doesn't care about the money. I was talking with my brother, what's the best investment, Tesla or SpaceX? I think Tesla is better, but SpaceX...
Be careful, don't invest without independent advice.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the Friday Midnight Mystery, where we talk about UFOs, where we talk about ghosts, where we talk about various things that are of interest to sci-fi and supernatural fans. A fan of sci-fi?
Yes.
Is Joe Stock, who is with us, who's with Asher and I. Joe, now, look, of all the things you've said to me, I haven't been interested in most of it, but tonight you've got one that's particularly of no interest to me. Yeah. Please explain.
You've really excelled yourself with lack of interest.
I know, but it's the big story of this week. Yeah. Doctor Who has been cancelled, or has it? That's the question, because what the...
So it either has or it hasn't, and that's the news story tonight.
Well, anyone could have said that. But yeah, carry on.
What happened was...
Andre, you fat. It's either yes or no.
The BBC entered into a partnership with Disney Plus to boost the production values of Doctor Who, and they brought back Russell T Davies, the writer from the revival in 2005, very highly regarded writer.
Yeah, he is a highly regarded writer.
And they filmed 2 series back-to-back with Disney funding, and it was all looking well. But then the series came out, and the viewing figures, they tumbled.
It was wokery. It was the first time a woman had been a doctor.
That was before.
Shouldn't that have been called Nurse Who?
I think some Doctor Who fans might take offence to that.
So just to be clear, the 2 wokest organisations in the world came together
and produced
it. Just to be clear, I've never watched an episode of Doctor Who. By the way, I make a joke at you, Joe, but I'm not taking a mick. If you like Doctor Who, that's fine. Was it good or was it bad?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think the last few years of Doctor Who, it has very much been on life support. And that's interesting because they've
life support because it's watchable, because you like it.
No, it's like you watch it because as a fan you feel you have to watch it, but you know you're not going to have a good time.
What's gone wrong then?
Well, there's several things. I think that... it's difficult to place. Obviously, what you were saying before about the sort of ideology being pushed into the programmes, that is something, but also... It's just, the show's kind of schizophrenic. It doesn't really know what it wants to be.
Well, that's interesting. It's contrived because the original Doctor Who, when I grew up and when Andre grew up, it was ramshackle, and that was the beauty of it. And then they made it with a high budget, but they also tried to make it ramshackle and cult. But also, and it doesn't work when you try and forced cult series, does
it? And what happened was that the show was a massive success for the BBC. Like, it was, you know...
Sorry, when? First time or second time?
Well, the first time it was massively successful, but then fell off as years went on. It ran for 26 years. When it came back, it blew everyone's expectations. Russell T Davies brought this show back. It was everyone was talking about it.
It was bigger than it had been in the first series because of the hype of it.
In some sense, yeah. And then
Christopher Eccleston and all that.
And then Russell T left and Stephen Moffat took over. He was a very famous writer who works on the show, fan favourite. Matt Smith, that was going well. 50th anniversary, live stream to 91 countries all at once. Massive deal was made of it. Shortly after that, Peter Capaldi comes in and it starts to lose its viewing figures a bit.
And what did he do?
Capaldi, well, I think he was very good, but I think the fans were used to, or the general audience was used to, a young sort of hotshot actor playing the Doctor.
But Capaldi was more like the old style, what's his name, Tom Baker and the other guy, Wurzel Gummidge.
What I'm interested in with all this is, look, what is the heart and soul of Doctor Who? Given there have been multiple lead actors, given every week is a different storyline, at least to some extent, given that there have been different writers, given that there's been decades in between number 1 and number 2, I think to myself, what is it? What is it? What is the magic sauce?
If you break it down, I think it's very English in its style.
Right.
And I think it's basically about a sort of grandfather-type figure with his granddaughter as a companion.
Right.
Right, and that was the first... William Hartnell, that's how he appeared the first time.
Actually, the very first was Peter Cushing.
No, he came after, and that was in the film. Yeah.
Oh, got that wrong. Well, that's ruined my trivia file. I've been using that for years.
But Peter Cushing was very good. But so I think that's the dynamic of it. I think it's a very sort of British show. I think that's the appeal and the sense of humour and, making...
It's sort of the James Bondy thing, but in
a way, yeah. And they both sort of came out in terms of the films of James Bond and Doctor Who at the same time. But this is a big issue, a big scandal has happened here because a lot of effort was put into this new launch to save the programme, which is one of the BBC's largest property easily internationally. They make so much money from it.
It's the biggest one, probably.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's massive.
International,
it's failed again. And they're having to actually... Well, you know, I'm not going to say this is definitely what's happened, but it seems Russell T Davies, who came back to save the show, is now stepping back, and they're putting the IP out to tender.
Why has he stepped out? Pressure from Wopery.
So, after Disney dropped out of the deal, that we were sort of in limbo, the BBC announced that Russell T Davies would be writing a Christmas special for this year. As of this week, we were told there is not going to be a Christmas special. The BBC's cancelled it. They're now putting the series out to tender, which basically means that production companies from all around the world will be asked to pitch their idea of what to do with Doctor Who.
Are they getting offers?
But Russell T Davies has also said that he has never written a Christmas episode script, that it was just a ploy to find out what was going to happen with the show.
They were flying a kite to see if anyone bit.
Yeah, but just to show that to the fans that there was some future for what was left. But that doesn't align with what he previously said. And, for example, the composer of the show, Murray Gould, said in an interview just a few months ago that he'd seen multiple endings for the Christmas special. So it seems like something was going to be made, but at the last minute has fallen apart.
Yeah, but when you pitch something, you know, in media, when you pitch something, you sit in the meeting, you go, we're going to do this, right? And throw, like anything, you throw darts to the board. It's a creative process.
The BBC made a big fuss of this. They put out a big press statement.
Did they?
Yeah, in October
By the way,
last
we've got somebody else, Ethan Stills, who is a Whovian. Is he here?
He's down the line.
Oh.
Ethan. Come in, Ethan.
Ethan, what is your take on this? Will there be a future for Doctor Who on the BBC or indeed anywhere else?
Well, I think they're definitely aiming to try and save this. The new Director General, Matt Brisson, has previously said that he's a big fan of Doctor Who, and I think that's probably why they've, announced this Christmas special last year, thinking it was going to happen, and now they've got the new Director General, and he's probably taken a harder look at the situation and decided that a random Christmas special later this year isn't really the solution to solving the problems that are facing Doctor Who.
What is the solution then?
Well, I think it's having a proper reset. I think that's what's quite desperately needed.
I think it should be emphasised, though, that this is about as bad as it can get. They've brought, the Godfather, their sort of guru, Russell T Davies, back to save the show. And this is the second time it's happened. So firstly, they tried to save it with Jodie Whittaker, who they brought in as the first female Doctor. Brand new production team, new visuals. And it started off well. They got 8 million in overnights on the first episode.
Because of the novelty.
But it dropped very quickly. Then we got to save it again. And then they bring in David Tennant back with Russell T Davies for these specials.
So let me ask both of you. Ethan, is the problem here the BBC? They're just incapable of innovating anymore, or is that me just being a negative?
I think you're right.
Right-wing fatty.
I think
both can be correct.
I think that there's definitely been an issue in how they've handled Doctor Who for the last few years. There's been quite a lot of gaps between seasons. There's been a few times you've taken a year plus off. Between Jodie Whittaker and David Tennant, those specials, you basically had, nearly 2 years between full seasons coming out. And
there's been a lot of changes in the Doctor. Yeah. It used to be 5 years they'd last. We've had it every couple of years. We've been falling out. Eccleston, Richard Hammond, the tall guy, Richard Hammond, what's his name? David Tennant, and all the other. It's only lasted about a year, and then they come back, and one comes back, and it's not good, is it, for the brand?
Well, this is an issue of TV just in general. Now, back in the day, you get a 24-episode series or a 12-episode series, and you felt like you were watching these characters for a significant portion of the year. Now you will get 8 episodes, or maybe 6, and the series will be released every few years.
Does it matter if Doctor Who dies?
Well, I think it
matters to you, but does it matter?
I thought he can't die.
I think it says everything is relative, but it will say a lot about the television industry that we, the British, cannot make one of our biggest exports in, drama.
But what we can do is that we can host American media companies. So, I was at, as I said the other day, I was at Longcross, seeing the new Netflix facility. I mean, look, you know, we are making films in the UK. We are making television in the UK. We're just not making it ourselves. We're renting the studios.
Like the car industry.
I just think it's an interesting thing to look at in terms of the BBC. This was their jewel, you know, like not even 20 years ago, and they would put so much effort and so much energy and time in the promotion and everything, and now they can't even afford to produce it.
Do you think it's the quality of the people? I mean, you look at their news, they announced that David Hockney today had resigned from the government. It's like, look at what they did with Trump, look at what they did when they misquoted Nigel Farage. The quality of them and all their dramas is they're not getting the best people, because the best people will go to Netflix and Prime and all the big spenders. So just basically the quality overall and the DEI thing, so you're not getting, it's no meritocracy, you don't get the job if you know, if a certain rate you're not going to get promoted there. So the whole quality has fallen, basically.
Well, I think the big issue as well is they're trying to compete with those international,
and they can't, can they? Many won't.
And you can't. Well, you look at Game of Thrones; they're spending, you know, back when that first started, it was $10 million an episode. That's definitely gone up, given how much CGI dragons they have on House of the Dragons these days, and Doctor Who can't really compete with that.
And that's the big issue, because the ideology with people like Russell T Davies and people at the BBC at the moment is they want Doctor Who to be competing on that level with the Star Wars shows and, you know, the fantasy shows.
But Asher just said, but Asher just said that the charm of Doctor Who was it never did that. Oh, sorry, that's what you were going to say.
That's what I would say. If anyone wants my advice, is go back to that. It doesn't have to be.
You can't. That was genuinely crap, because it was genuinely crap.
No, it wasn't genuinely crap.
No, but it was ramshackle, and the things were made of washing up liquid bottles because they had
to that. But I'm saying
go
back to a more. I'm saying go back to a more low key. Make it more about the atmosphere. It was a very spooky show, and I think horror shows, particularly aimed at young people, do very well.
I think what you're driving at, and we'll ask Ethan about this, but I think what you're driving at is to say, look, massive production is not important. CGI is not important. What it is an engaging story and quality acting. At the end of the day, in the 1970s, they couldn't have a CGI dragon, but quite often, and I've seen this, Welcome to Terminator 2, were big production, you know, disguises the fact there's fundamentally no story.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, AI, you look at AI now, you don't need CGI.
The Doctor Who stories, they were really good. Those are classic ones with Tom Baker. Actually, if you look past the wobbly
terrifying
sets,
as well.
And also, the thing with that is also people often forget is back in those days, TV, like Doctor Who, Tom Baker, everyone says about the sets and everything, it wasn't designed to emulate film, it was designed to emulate theatre. Watching the TV was like watching a play on your TV screen.
It was in your imagination that it was...
But that's changed within the last sort of 30 years, that we're now chasing cinema. And now, ironically, cinema is now chasing television, because more people...
And a lot of great people came from
Ethan, do you think that's a fair comment, that in reality, it's not about big production, and I'm sure Joe's right. The idea of the TV was taking the theatre into your home.
Well, I think that's always been the appeal of Doctor Who since, like, even watching those older episodes for the first time, you see the charms there, kind of because of how shoddy it is. It sort of just adds to the appeal of the show, and I think that kind of carried through in those original
Ethan, I think you're wrong. So I've never watched an episode of Doctor Who, but what it strikes me is when people say the shoddiness appeals to it, you know, adds to it or makes it more appealing, I actually think what's coming across really strongly to me is that you could get immersed in this because the stories were good, the acting was good, and suddenly, you know, all the rest of the poor quality of the production disappeared. And what you're saying is not that the poor production added to it, is that good production distracted from it.
Well, definitely, the stories and the acting is the main appeal of Doctor Who, and I think that's been lost in recent years and sort of flashing up with the CGI and everything. But I do think part of that, the longevity of Doctor Who, and the same goes for the original Star Trek and even the classic Star Wars before George Lucas went and replaced everything with CGI. Part of that appeal is kind of seeing the nuts and bolts and not necessarily getting that...
And the hammy actors like Tom Baker and Pertwee, they really had a charisma and a sort of something strange and weird about
the way
them.
they reacted to the environment.
Capaldi had that a bit, didn't he?
But it didn't, for some reason, it didn't gel.
Ethan Sills, thank you so much. 27.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is it your birthday?
Right now.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Now-
birthday.
Now,
yeah.
who is Eliza?
Eliza's my girlfriend.
So Eliza's been in touch.
Oh,
So
God.
thank you. No, I mean, she's just sent a message saying it's
very
Joe's
kind.
birthday.
Have you
He's
got-
27.
Have you got a question for her on your 27th birthday? Is the time coming?
So what are you going to do with Eliza when you... Well, it's none of my business, really, is it?
How long have you been going out?
Does she give you any special treats on your birthday?
2 years, so you're
It's all a
27.
surprise. It's
It's always a surprise, is it?
Surprise.
Right, you jump out the cupboard and she's wearing a sexy
that
garment.
He's got a sock on.
No, and he does it.
We might watch some Doctor Who.
Well, I don't think she's going to be keen on that tonight. Joe, let me tell you something. You've been absolutely phenomenal. I make jokes about the fact that we don't, but thank you so much. So, when are you working this weekend and what are you doing for your birthday?
I don't know what I'm doing for my birthday. It's all been kept a secret, so I have no idea what I'm
Eliza,
doing tomorrow.
There's a birthday party for you,
Is there?
and it's going to be hosted by. I was about to make a joke about a former member of staff. I will not make that joke. I'll not make that joke. Let's start tweeting.
So,
okay.
anything more to say before we send you out back to the mystery
There has been
department?
some interesting UFO developments.
Oh, yeah, give us a little taste of what's been going on.
Well,
here.
I won't go. Yeah, well, okay, one.
Should we do it
document-
after the break?
No, I think we should do Ask Asher after the break. Okay. If across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. Okay, so we're still here with Asher Gould and Joe Stock, but Joe Stock is going to tell us a little bit about some UFO updates. By the way, I just want to say to you, what we try and do after midnight on Saturday night, on Friday nights going into Saturday morning, ask Asher if you are foolish enough to want to know some legal advice.
Cooking advice, legal advice, love, relationships,
Yeah,
DIY, whatever, I'll give it a go.
Anything like that. He has no training in
qualification.
no training in medicine, no training in psychology, law.
I'll have a go at it.
But he'll have
Don't
a
worry
go,
about
he'll have
that.
a go.
And much cheaper, much better rates than the
034
qualified
if you want
ones.
a seance, he'll do it. 0344
Yes.
499 1000. We have got 4 slots available.
Ash.
So if you phone now, you will get through to Ask Asher, and that's in about 10 minutes. Joe, tell us.
Well, yes, so as the pattern has been for the last few weeks, or last month, I should say, every 2 weeks the United States are releasing more and more UFO
Yes.
files. And it's been a bit of an interesting
And it's been
week.
a build.
It's been a build-up,
Drip
yeah,
feeding.
and it has been an interesting week this week because we have Disclosure Day, the film coming out from Steven Spielberg, which is all about this topic. Hopefully this time
And
next
just
week.
to explain what you've said previously, this film by Steven Spielberg many conspiracy theorists believe is about softening us up for whatever will be the end of this disclosure.
Yeah, although I think we're already quite softened up, to be honest.
I think
Now, when they announce it, we go, so what? We've got other more important things to worry about than
really
aliens.
interesting files released today. Not so much videos, but documents from the past. And also, earlier in the week, there was this, we talked about this on the show, there was a storming of Capitol Hill by a lot of these UFO enthusiasts and intelligence officers.
I mean, not a storming like we had on with
no,
the
not
Jamiroquai
quite,
one.
Yeah. A relaxed one.
Yeah.
A lot of people came up on the hill and were talking to the press, saying what they know. And David Grush was there, who's the intelligence officer that came forward and said all these extreme claims. And someone asked him, has there been any really good concrete proof yet that's been released? And he said, actually, a file was released in Australia a couple of years ago, and it's a file from 1971. He said, I advise everyone to go and look for that file. So we all looked for that file.
That's when I was born.
We all, is it, right?
It could be.
We all looked for that file, and it was very bizarre because it's a military document, and they're basically describing how the United States is covering up the UFO phenomenon, and you're saying, you know about Project Blue Book?
No, but explain, please.
So Project Blue Book was the official investigation into these UFO reports they had in the 50s, I think.
In America.
Yeah, and their conclusion was that it's all nothing, basically. It's just swamp gas and things like that.
Was this just a cover?
Well, this document the Australians really said that they used Project Blue Book as a cover to stop people stop panic around what the Americans believe is extraterrestrials. I think we would panic.
Would we?
I think.
Well, look
so.
at when they announced the Orson Welles thing, and people did go a bit crazy. People did panic.
I mean, I think if I was a bonobo, right? By the way, I'm getting so annoyed by people saying that our closest relatives are chimpanzees. Our closest relatives are bonobos.
They're one of the few.
But they are a chimpanzee. They are
that have sex for
fun.
But the bonobo does not know that it's in a zoo.
No.
If we discover we're in a zoo,
yes,
that will be bad.
Yes, and and if we get evidence, and also because you've got to think there'll be a certain a religious demographic that will not accept this and will see this as demonic anyway. And if
a caller's flooded in for you, Joe.
Okay, hang on one sec.
Put your earpieces on. How do you know what a bonobo knows? Callers 03444991000. Yasmin, your question to Joe from the Talk Mystery Department.
Hiya, Joe.
Hello.
I'm sorry I missed your call. I was away in...
Have you been calling our callers? I've told you about that.
But,
don't tell his girlfriend.
No hard feelings.
All right.
No hard anything, if I'm being totally honest.
Oh, he's only 27.
You're so rude.
Plenty of lead in his pencil. He's 27.
Oh, Christ.
Hello, Eliza.
Oh, yeah. Happy
You're embarrassing him now. Stop it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, darling.
Eliza's furious.
It's a very powerful day today, the 27th. It's a master number. It's to do with Saturn.
I know, which is a dodgy planet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very
Black
odd
cube.
this year for you. And you're going to do some travelling as well. You're going to go to
Ibiza on holiday.
So you're a Gemini. You're a Gemini.
Where am I going?
New York.
Oh, right, nice. I look forward to that.
You're going to be a part of it.
Who's paying for that trip?
I feel as though when I'm looking at it, there's no problem.
This is your girlfriend's party for you.
There's money coming in for you anyway in September this year.
Imagine if Eliza is taken into New York.
September, someone's dying.
And also, when you were talking about Egypt, I'd been to Egypt, Valley of the Kings.
What, do you want a medal or something?
And when I went to Egypt, the Valley of the Kings, I was outside Tutankhamun.
Right.
As you go into the entrance. And I brushed away the sand on the right and left side. And then while we were there...
You found another pyramid?
They found the mummies on the right and left side.
You found his luggage on the left-hand side?
And I was the one who brushed the sand away off the bricks on the floor. Anyway, that's just something that happened.
So you actually discovered one of the pyramids? Is that what you're telling us?
No, I'm telling you, I cleared the sand away, the right and left side of Tutankhamun's tomb.
And then they found... So you were part of the Tutankhamun discovery?
No, listen.
In the 1920s?
With the
This is incredible breaking news. Play the breaking news jingle.
found the mummies with the open eyes standing up in each side, right and left.
Just where you brushed it, there was the mummies were there with their eyes open.
I'll pay for a lie detector.
I believe you. I mean, you wouldn't lie about something
Well,
like
why
that,
not?
would you?
I mean, if you've discovered Tutankhamun's wife and she had open eyes and indeed
How could you be lying?
It wasn't the wives, it was the servants, the women servants.
Well, everyone can do that, yeah.
That's the same thing in those days, isn't
Let me just say about the pyramids. If you look at the pyramids, the stones under the
Talk Radio, breaking news.
It's a bit late, but never mind. Isn't it?
And the stones at the bottom are like megalithic stones.
Yeah.
And then later on, the very small stones. So what I'm saying, because I've been there...
Did you discover this as well?
No.
All right.
I mean, she laughs that off as if it's everything. Oh, well, I mean...
You're only going to make one major discovery in your life, aren't you?
I went to Egypt and I discovered Tutankhamun's
Just brushed
servant.
aside and there were the mummies with their eyes open.
But given you discovered Tutankhamun's servants, did you discover any stones? No, don't be silly. Of course I didn't. What a ridiculous thought.
Let me just say something, right? We went when that KY2...
What?
KY2 thing was kicking off.
The volcano, yeah.
I think it's K2, not KY2.
K9 was the dog.
No,
K2.
KY is a different
jelly.
thing.
While we were there...
I mean, if she was sitting on the pyramid, KY would help.
Y2K was the...
While we were there at the pyramids, the sound...
Millennium bug.
The KY tombs of the black Egyptians. Also, when we were there, the Geminids were in the sky going off.
You're a Gemini, I'm a Gemini.
I'm not Gemini.
We're all Geminis.
I'm Scorpio.
What does this
Yeah, what are we on about? What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about, Willis?
Anyway, what I'm going to say is this. When you go over to Egypt, if you ever get the chance to go over to Egypt, it is so magical, the energy. When I was over there, I kept hearing them call my name, the spirits. It was brilliant.
That's where Crowley had his first contact.
Alistair Crowley.
With a spiritual
I bet
entity.
you like Alistair Crowley, don't you, Yasmin?
Alistair Crowley is brilliant.
And ironically, the description he drew of this entity looks just like a grey alien.
Yeah. And he also summoned the angels as well. And also built temples.
And this is what we're encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
It's brilliant, Alistair Crowley.
I love his stuff, that some of his albums.
I mean, this is what we're encouraging, isn't it?
I suppose
I mean, I didn't get any of that.
Do you remember Gary Crowley? He was good, no?
KY Jelly, discovering mummies. I mean, all that sort of... I mean, what is it?
I'm going to tell you something funny, Andre.
Oh, you have done already, but go on.
No, let me tell you. My husband's called Ken and I'm Yasmin and we're KY Jelly.
Is that the joke?
That's the truth.
Thanks,
do me a favour. Phone now, because we're doing Call Ash for 15 minutes
advice,
while I
you
go
want, give us
and
a ring.
have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Right? You can all get out of it.
Yeah.
I'll do the last 15 minutes. He can do the next 15 minutes.
Call me.
Thank
Anything you want, I can help.
Joe Stock, I like you, but that is what happens when you come on.
I'm not taking responsibility for that.
I mean, what was that? What was she talking about?
What are you going to be talking about?
I'll decipher it over
What's
the week.
next week's mystery department?
Well, I think we'll go through these UFO files more thoroughly.
The mystery is how we're going to stay on this channel with all this rubbish.
We'll also
That'll be the
review
mystery.
Disclosure Day, a film review for Disclosure Day.
Oh, please make it good.
Oh, I hope it's good.
Well, I hope it's good, because I'll tell you, my job's hanging by a thread, right, with all this rubbish.
Anyway, call in, ask Ash, any advice, 03444991000. What incredible stuff. Yasmin discovered 2 mummies in Egypt just by brushing the sand away.
No stone.
Anyway, no stone, just brushed it away.
She left every stone unturned.
Anyway, ask Ash after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk, it's Ask Ash, where I'll take any of your, quandaries, problems, whatever it is, DIY, cooking, love, relationships, holiday advice, gardening. I don't really know much, but I'll give it a go, and I'm much cheaper and better value than the official qualified ones. So give us a ring, 03444991000. Paula in Halifax. You're through to Ask Ash.
Hello.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. What's your problem, please, Paula?
No, I don't have a problem.
But this is Ask Ash, where you phone in with a lot of problem, and I can help you.
Well, yeah, the Prime Minister, that's the problem.
Well, okay, yeah, how can I help?
Well, how can you help? You can't really help, can you? Because you're such a... Well, I won't say.
Yes.
I don't know if you're allowed to swear.
Well, I mean, not really, no. So, you have to use democratic means, probably, currently.
I mean, he's a bit of a pick, you know.
What?
Let's be fair.
I can't. Are you on hands-free, Paula? You're a bit like...
No,
Have you got something in your mouth? Are you chewing some toast or something?
No.
Are you on hands-free?
No,
You've got a cloth in front of your mouth.
You're not.
You sound like a bit muff. Are you on hands-free, Paula?
No.
Hold on, let's go. Ken,
no.
Ken.
Good morning.
Ken, we're with Paula in Halifax, Ken in London. Have you met each other?
I met you a long, long time ago, Ash.
Yeah, we've met. I know. It was great to meet you. It was lovely. Give us a big hug, didn't you?
I did. But listen, I want to give you the greatest promise given to mankind and to all your listeners.
We haven't heard from you for a few weeks.
Ken.
Where have you been, Ken?
Oh, I'm still here, by God's grace.
You weren't ill or something, were you?
No.
Where were you? Spreading the message. You haven't been on for ages.
Spreading the message every day, the message of Jesus. Now, here's Ash.
Yeah.
This is for you. I've got the promise to you and to every listener. This is a word from Jesus, the greatest promise on earth.
Excellent.
John 6, verses 47, 48. I say unto you, he that believeth on me has everlasting life. I am the bread of life. This is the message for everyone.
That's great news,
Promise from God.
That's good
If
news.
you will truly believe in Jesus Christ, God the Son, if you'll believe that he died for your sins and rose from the dead and believe it like a little child and ask God for forgiveness, God has promised to give you...
But this is Ask Ash. Have you got any DIY questions or other questions, romance, holiday, gardening questions?
Listen to what I'm saying to you. Don't be so foolish, young man. I'm giving you good news.
Religious
I'm
questions.
talking to you about the King of the Jews.
But you're just giving me answers. I need questions.
You need help because at this moment you are on the highway to hell, Ash, the same as James Whale was.
Yeah, but who knows? Who
You're
knows?
on the highway to hell, the same
Well,
as
he was
James
a big
Whale.
AC/DC fan. He was great mates with the lead singer, Brian Johnson.
I've given you and every listener the greatest
James
promise in the
Whale was
Bible.
excellent.
Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
That's the good news. Now listen, here's a thought for you.
Yeah.
Do you know that an extremist Christian loves people and does good to them for the glory of God?
I did
Do
know
you know
that,
what the extremist Muslim does? The extremist Muslim practices hatred and killing.
Well, only certain ones. There's obviously some very good ones. But anyway, look, that's Ken and that's Paula, but they didn't really have questions. But this is Ask Ash, so, give me a ring, 0344 499 1000. We're just getting up the next one. It's Ask Ash. You can ask me on the WhatsApp voice message, 0344 499 1000. Catherine's asked, how's Janice? Yeah, because we were a bit worried about Janice. Give us a ring, Janice, if you're there. But she only listens when she's on the phone, so she probably isn't. So let's talk to Mark in Lincolnshire. Oh, we're ringing it. We're just ringing him. Hold on. Let's see if he's up. Yeah, we're there. Yeah. Mark. It's very late, but he's probably in bed, isn't he? Having a partner. He might have gone to the loo, you know what I mean?
Your call has been forwarded.
I will leave a message. No, I'll leave a
Trying
message.
to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
All right, Mark, it's Ash. It's Mark in Lincolnshire. We were trying to get you on. We're live on air now. You've ruined the show. It was going really well and you've ruined it. You were going to say this country will vote. Anyway, we won't find out now unless you answer the phone.
I'm here, mate.
Oh, you were monitoring, were you, to see who it was?
Something like that.
All right, yeah, so I've passed the monitoring test. So what do you want to chat about, Mark?
It was just about it happening again, really. This time in, I think it's Burnley. A young, I think she's 19 years old, girl, getting stabbed in the neck.
Mm-hmm. Has this just happened, has it?
Yeah, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Well, yesterday afternoon, you know what I mean?
Have they made arrests? Have they got some?
Yeah, guy's been arrested by armed police, arrested on suspicion of attempted murder.
Well, we can't really talk about the case, but we can talk about generally what's going on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's getting out of control. I think
it's very much so. And they're not telling us everything. There's things happening all up and down the country every day.
No, all that happens, Ash, is we just get the same thing all the time. And I know you're Jewish, right? And, look at it from my side, from my point of view, as a native Brit. I am a nationalist anyway, myself. But when you look at it like this, right, there was a couple of Jewish people got stabbed, wasn't there, a little while ago?
Yeah.
The instant response is snap of the fingers, 25 million quid, there you go for your security.
Yeah.
Native people get stabbed or get whatever happened to them.
Yeah.
And what do you get? You get more authoritarianism and being told...
Well, it's an outrage, yeah, of course it is. I mean, the two-tier thing. I mean, I don't think the Jewish people are getting it that good. They're probably getting it the worst.
I'm not suggesting they really are, Ash, but you get my point.
But it's a small community as well, you know what I mean? It's a different kind of thing. I mean, I'm not really part of that. I am part of the Jewish community, but I don't go to the synagogues and places like that. So it's specifically to protect those, because they are pretty vulnerable. But if you're just like me on the street, I'm as vulnerable as sort of any white guy is on the street. You know what I mean? Probably even worse.
Well, of course.
I've got another things people can have a go at me about.
Well, of course, you know what I mean. As I say, I don't dispute any of that, Ash. I've never disputed.
But of course, they should be doing a lot more, because they're denying there's a problem, aren't they? Because they have no answer to it. They have no answer to it, do they?
Their biggest problem is that you actually know it.
Yeah, they're just trying to stop the message being passed out there. Because if we actually knew what it was, it would be even worse. They're not showing us certain footage of video things because they know it would make us mad and we'd find out what was actually going on. But we're all sort of starting to realise, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, people are finally waking up to the cold, hard reality of what's been going on for the last 5-10 years. It's just... We're getting to a point, where...
Well, we can see what's happening in Belfast. I mean, they're not going to take that, and I'm not condoning it, but if you have no answer through the political democratic system, people are going, well, what else can I do? Not that you should be doing it, but anyway, let's go to Heather. Is it Heather? No, Heather in Girvan.
Well, I want to talk about defence and this useless, reckless government of ours, not even bothering to put money into our defence, into our military. I've been saying all along about Ukraine, we should never help Ukraine whatsoever. I've been saying this. We haven't got enough weapons. We haven't got enough missiles for our own defence, for our own country. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I couldn't agree more. Ian in Manchester.
Oh, hi, Ash.
All right, morning.
It's Ian from Manchester. I just want to bring things down to a bit of a lighter note.
Good, yeah.
Have you ever heard, well, you will have heard because you're as old as me, have you heard of the group called Marillion with Steve Hogarth?
Marillion?
Marillion.
Yeah, Marillion, yeah. Fish. Remember Fish?
No.
He threatened me, Fish. He actually threatened to shoot me. He didn't have a gun, though. Yeah. He said, if I had a 9mm, I'd put it to your head right now, but he didn't have one, like, so it was a stupid threat, wasn't it? Although he's a big man. When Fish is angry, he's 6'6", an angry fish you do not want. Anyway, go on, what were you saying about Marillion?
No, I was just saying that's a bit much, but what I wanted to ask you was, it's the group now is Marillion. It's got new lead singer Steve Hogarth. He's only been with them for 35 years. I just wanted to know whether you've heard of him, and I want you to try and seek out because they should be bigger than they are.
Brilliant. Well, that was the problem. I said to Fish, he was coming on our show, Fish, me and James Wales show, and I was just making a cup of tea. I said, do you want a cup of tea? And he was just sitting on the couch, and I went, oh, how are the guys? Because I wasn't. I said, how are the guys in Marillion? How are the guys? And he looked at me and went, if I had a gun now, I'd put it right to your head. 9mm. And he said he hadn't been. I haven't seen those guys for 10 years. I said, if you see Fish, don't ask him about Marillion because he sort of has one of his turns.
Yeah, but he's better now. That was a sore point, but he's retired.
So would he be all right if I mentioned it now? I don't want to get threatened by Fish again. It's quite a terrifying experience.
He wouldn't point a gun at your head. He'd just point a spade.
He didn't have one anyway. Yeah. Yeah, well, he seemed like he's from Glasgow, isn't he?
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with him. I mean, he was a big guy. He was getting on a bit.
Yes.
Any other advice? You need any other advice? Because this is Ask Ash. Any advice?
Just advice for you. Start listening, and all your listeners, start listening to Marillion with Steve Hogarth because it's the best group in the world.
Is he better than Fish? Is he better than Fish?
A lot better.
Is he tall? I mean, is he tall?
Catch him out. No, he's not as tall as Fish. Fish was 6'6", wasn't he?
Fish was a big man, and when he's angry, you do not want to come across him. Eddie in the Wirral. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Ash. How are you?
Well, all right. Welcome on board to Ash Cash. Good morning to you.
Ash, I'm just ringing because I was listening to a caller before going on about God and Jesus.
Earwigging, were we? Oh, yes, I know that. Yes, okay. So what's all about Ken? Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about when we were younger, we had assembly in schools.
I loved assembly, yeah.
Yeah, I loved assembly.
I like the hymns. I like the old hymns. The Baroque.
The Christian
hymns.
Soldiers.
Yeah, but some of the other ones, there's some lovely, the way they were composed was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in our assembly, did you ever get kids would just faint and smash their heads on the floor? Yeah, you used to have quite a lot. I remember one kid, he just sort of fainted. The prefects used to stand to try and catch him because it was... And he smashed his head on the front of the stage. Why did kids used to faint? Because we were malnourished, weren't we?
Yes, but it's all stopped now, hasn't it?
There's not enough fainting at school, in assemblies.
The kids are entitled these days.
If you're a teacher, you can't control kids. In the inner cities, I've heard it's a nightmare because you can't do anything. Since they got rid of capital punishment at schools, they've run amok.
Ash, this is why I'm ringing as well, because my missus works at a school and we're in an affluent area. And the
Wirral is quite posh, isn't it? It's quite
posh. Well, some parts are.
Yeah, on the Wirral.
But the kids are running amok because they're entitled.
Yeah, and they know it's weird, isn't it? And it's basically their parents have let them get like this by sparing the rod and spoiling the child.
Yes.
Do you think it's fatherless homes, broken homes, or do you think it's just parents being the kids? They're become their friends rather than their parents.
I'd say they're trying to become the friends because
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, no. And the kids are running amok, mate.
No. So you've got kids. Have you got kids?
Well, mine are now 32 and 33.
And were they well disciplined? Did you discipline them?
Well,
they're not career criminals, are they? What do they do now?
I blame Mr. Ranson.
What have they turned into? What do they do, your kids? Let's judge you on what your kids' occupations.
One's running wild in Nottingham, and
what, like a gangster?
Yeah.
Right, so that's not gone very well. And what's the other?
No. But me son is a very good. He's on £100,000 a year.
As a gangster.
No, fuck that.
What does he do? No, it's all right. Don't worry about that. It's very lazy.
I can't. He works for BAE.
Oh, well, that's a very good job. So your daughter's a sort of gangster, a lady gangster in the Nottingham area, but your son works for, British Aerospace?
Well, I can't, because he had to do the Secret Act, so I can't talk
right,
about
so
it.
he works, in the defence industry. Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah.
So you've had one good and one not so good, so it swings and roundabouts.
Doesn't it just? But I still do think...
Was it because she was Daddy's little girl?
I still do think it all comes back to the early school years. I do think discipline should be brought in.
I bet your daughter had you wrapped round her finger and your son, you sort of disciplined him, your daughter could do what, you know what I mean? Was it that sort of thing?
Well, that was a different story. There's a story to all that, isn't it? It might have been me, the gangster, but...
You sound like one, yeah.
No, don't.
Anyway.
You look like one.
Yeah, guys, you get one.
Ash, what a great show and what a great talk TV.
Thanks, Eddie, and you're a new caller, so give us another ring another time. Anyway, I think that's the end of Ask Ash. Should we go to Grace before? Let's talk to Grace. Grace, morning. Let's have some morning Grace.
If only I were graceful. I noticed that Mark referred to Jewish people receiving more support following on the awful attack, and then he referred to native people as though he was
I was going to pick. I mean, my family have been here since since Oliver Cromwell. Oliver Cromwell.
Yeah, you're absolutely a native.
That's the thing. There is a bit of an othering thing when you look at one culture and then you sort of blame other cultures. Do you know what I mean? You get swept into it, and this is the danger of the actual far right, which isn't really occurring. But if this is what can happen if people aren't listened to, you do end up with horrendous, people like that. So you have to be careful. Everyone knows how this occurs.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say that you're definitely a native person.
Thank you.
And also, I noticed that Ken didn't want to ask you any questions, but Jesus asked people questions all the time.
Did he?
In the New Testament.
Because I'm a bit like a sort of overweight Jesus. A lot of people say I look like Jesus, but a few pounds overweight.
We don't actually know that Jesus had.
I saw a picture of him. Yeah, he had mousy hair though in the picture I saw.
He probably didn't look quite as Caucasian as some of the pictures suggest.
But he would have been in Roman. People say he wouldn't have been white. Of course, the Middle East was full of white people because of the Romans. I mean, if you go now, they say, Arab people don't have blue eyes. They have the brightest. Some of them have. So around there was a great mixture of European, African, from all around the world. So there's plenty of white people out there.
Well, Jesus himself was Jewish and not descended from the Romans, so he probably looked more Jewish than he did Caucasian. But it doesn't really matter what he looked like either way. I think that what he told people about eternal life and how he offered people great joy in this lifetime also is what's most significant. And I would slightly concur with the previous caller in that I do think it was good when we learned hymns at school. I think I was one of the last year groups to do hymns at school.
Do they not do them anymore? But they don't.
I don't think they do. They were kind of bringing in songs about recycling by the time I finished primary school, and I think now it's mostly songs about other things.
Net zero songs and things like that.
Possibly. And pop songs as well. When I see schools on TV, they're often singing Katy Perry songs or whatever. But I think that telling kids to, when I needed a neighbour, songs like that, gives kids really good messages.
I like that song as well.
No, when I needed a neighbour.
Did they do that assembly? With a little understand. I could see that would be a good start. What about sons and daughters? Sons and daughter. Anyway, look, we got a break, Grace, but thanks for that. It was quite interesting. So assemblies now, they sing TV theme tunes. That sounds really good, right up my Strasse. Anyway, we've got to take a little break. We'll get Andre back. Go and find Andre. It's Andre and Ash on Talk. Back after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Now, I have to say, Asher, whilst you were doing Ask Asher, I was raiding the sweet jar.
Oh, yeah, what was it? There's got a lot of chocolate footballs.
The big problem is, it's all the lollipops that get left, but not the soft. I like those soft
They take
ones.
all the good stuff, don't they, and leave us with
I used to like those midget gems and sports
there's
mixtures.
loads of them, but they all nick them, don't they, the Talk Sports lot? And they've invented this new Talk Sport beer. It's amazing. I had it. It goes down a treat in collaboration with, I don't know who beer.
Meantime.
Yeah, Meantime. They were under the Fullers Group. It's a great,
I'll tell you what
lager.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Beautiful.
So I looked at where they served the TalkSport beer. Now, I don't know if we're going to get into trouble for mixing brands or whatever, but I know
Don't mix your beers.
They serve them at all of the O'Neills, and there's an O'Neill's in Liverpool, which I was thinking of bobbing along to.
And if you get them with a packet of Alan Brazil's nuts as well, I don't know if they still do that, a nice sack of his nuts.
Alan Brazil's nuts?
Yeah, Alan Brazil's nuts.
What are they? What do you have to put talc on them?
No,
or
you
the
have
wet?
a nibble Alan Brazil's nuts while you're having a lovely Talk Sport pint of beer. Anyway, talking of that, look who's in the building. It's Benedict.
What a segue.
Fletcher. Yeah.
How we doing?
His name's not Benedict.
Ben, I'm going to have to tell you off.
Go on.
You know the news that we've been carrying obviously is jointly between Talk and Talk Sport, right? They were reporting on Canada versus Bosnia tonight.
Brilliant.
What? Oh, come
There was
on.
only 2 matches. Because that's the thing about the World Cup. You get to see teams, players that you never normally get to see.
Did you watch it?
The highlights, yeah.
Oh,
but disappointing for Canada. You never know what you're going to get.
You get into it because at the moment there was one match yesterday and 2 today, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And how many tomorrow? When's a good match? When's the first proper good match?
Well, I would argue always we've had a few already, but if you want one of the home nations, Scotland, Haiti, 2 o'clock kickoff
What good match
tomorrow.
have we had? Hey, hang on a second, but Haiti's quite a small country.
It is, but
Scotland will win, will they?
They should do, but Haiti are very, very physically fit, and Scotland, this is their first World Cup since 1998. Expectations are very high. But the last 2 finals they've been to, the Euro 2020 and Euro 2024, they completely fluffed their lines. That's fluffed if you're listening in medium wave.
Is that because they're so not used to, so unfamiliar?
The heat as well.
The heat will be a factor. I think just it was too big an occasion, but there is a real feel around Scotland this time around. It's different. The manager, Steve Clarke, seems a lot happier. But it's the biggest World Cup ever. 48 teams. If any of you have got the sticker albums, how do you feel about the beer?
But Haiti, of course, has had problems recently, all sorts of natural disasters. They'll be fighting to win, won't they? They're not going to... They're not going to just have a laugh.
No, well, none of them are. I mean, the great thing about this World Cup is it's not for everybody, but there are now 3 qualification berths. So previously, the group winner and second place would go through, bottom 2 teams go straight out. Now, if you finish 3rd in your group and you're in the top 8 out of the 12 teams that finish third to basically win and get a positive goal difference, you've got a chance of getting through. So it makes it, there's more jeopardy on those final games.
So this is a much larger competition.
Huge,
bigger than ever.
Biggest it's ever been.
And it's
as you'd
6
expect
weeks,
in America.
isn't it? It's lasting 6
weeks. 18th of July, the final. So we're very excited. We're bringing you USA, Paraguay, 2 o'clock kickoff. Very, very excited about that. And Mauricio Pochettino.
2 this morning?
2 this morning, yeah.
Who is it? Who's playing Panama?
USA, Paraguay.
Paraguay. Oh, that'll be
And
quite
Mauricio
good, because USA
Pochettino.
are quite tasty sometimes.
Yeah, they can be.
When's our first match? When is it?
England is Wednesday against Croatia, the 17th of June.
Oh, and they're very tough.
Well, Croatia knocked England out of the 2018 World Cup, but England... in fact, Croatia have been a bit of a thorn in England's side over the years.
Have they still got that amazing old guy,
Luka Modric? Yeah, he's still knocking about.
He must be about 68 now.
He brings the average age right up.
Just as a matter of interest, this has got nothing to do with your show.
All right, okay.
No, I know this sounds silly, but I do want to get engaged with the World Cup. What will TalkSport be doing during the World Cup period?
Bringing you every single game.
Every single game.
Or TalkSport 2. Every single game will be on our airwaves.
Can I be honest with you?
Go on.
That should have been planned in advance. What? Every single game? That's right, Andre. Every single. I didn't realise that.
Correctly.
And we have much better coverage than the other sides because we have guys who've really been there, not people who've just sort of talking. These are guys who've been through it and are passionate and don't hold back.
Well, the co-commentator for USA Paraguay is Alvin Martin.
Old mate of mine,
Old mate of ours, from TalkSport, played for England, was at Mexico 86, played against Paraguay in the 86 World Cup.
I remember Mexico 86, the Mexican wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody did it before then.
They did, well, it was invented.
Well, they did, sorry.
I did it, but no one else joined in.
So what can we expect on your show tonight?
Well, USA versus Paraguay. We'll look ahead to Scotland Haiti tomorrow. It's World Cup fever. Heard you talking about the TalkSport World Cup lager from Meantime.
It goes down a
very,
treat,
very good. Very, very good.
Have you got any non-sport, or is it all football related?
We are 100% World Cup between now.